Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name's Anthony Trapani. We're back with episode 2 of the Cali Death podcast. We got Casey Howard, Joseph K. Those are my sidekicks on the show. We got Matt Sotelo from Decrepit Birth, Bill Robinson from Decrepit Birth, and super homie Joel in the middle down here on my view from both bands, Odious Mortem and Severed Savior. So here we are for episode 2. We're going to talk about Decrepit Birth.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Welcome, guys.
What's up, guys?
So, to just take it in the same direction it was with the Deeds episode. Obviously, if you guys haven't seen it, check it out. Episode number 1, Deeds of Flesh. We got Mike and Jacoby on there telling their story. We're trying to do the same thing with all the bands that we've either come across or, later down in the future, we're going to be talking to bands that we haven't, known personally, but still we're just going to be moving it from, we're starting it with the core of the California death metal scene that we were playing in, and it's just like, we want to spotlight all the dudes that we think that everybody should know, I mean, obviously a lot of people know Decrepit Birth, but I'm just saying, like, for the people who don't know, like, the behind the scenes and the process of going through being in this scene in all these different bands and kind of being just part of it together. Like, I want everybody to know about it. So, like, of course, like episode 2, dude, we got to bring Decrepit Birth on.
Shit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, you guys.
Sure, dude. And it's really good to see you guys. I haven't seen you guys in many years. I think the last time I saw you guys maybe was whatever festival was going on at the Metro the last time you guys played there in Oakland.
Summer Slaughter or something?
No. It was DNA Lounge, I think. DNA Lounge. Did you guys do
we played no.
Maybe 5, 6, 7 years you guys did a show at the DNA? That's
probably
that's the last time I saw you guys in person. But yeah,
you know who else played on that one?
Hey, yeah,
don't remember.
Too much cannabis, dude.
You were there for us,
dude. I was there to hang out with everybody. I was there definitely to see you guys, but also I'm sure there's maybe Origin was on the bill too. Did you guys do a show with Origin?
I think that was Summer Slaughter.
Was it? Okay.
With Origin, yeah, they played like right after us.
What year? Do you remember what year that was?
2014.
Okay, so yeah, I'm on point about 6 years.
Was Fallujah on that? Was Fallujah on that show too?
Again, dude, I'm sorry. I no disrespect to any other band on that bill. I enjoyed your set when I was there, but I can't really pinpoint who else.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Oh yeah.
I caught you guys at the Carmen Bar in Laguna Niguel on those routing shows into the last tour just before the ill-fated accident.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fucked it all up.
Yeah. The one before the night you went down to Sandy and then Casey came out for that show. I know.
Right.
So I was there just, that was probably one of your last live shows, right? Those last ones were the last shows.
Well, no, we did a short little tour after that tour that Bill got hurt on. So we did a headline tour after that one. But I remember so you're talking about the one that was like at a little bar or something.
I thought we saw you guys
Laguna
before.
Yep.
So it wasn't the one in Brick by Brick. Wasn't it the next night that he got hurt?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. After that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went back up.
Oh, he's talking about I got
the night before though.
Yeah.
So where we met.
It was a sick show, and it's probably like the 10th time I've seen you guys.
Oh shit!
First time was the Vets Hall in Santa Cruz, 2005 or 6. That shit.
Yeah.
With Inherit Disease.
That was my first show.
Yeah.
Sick. That's right.
Yeah.
We played like 6 songs or something like that.
I know. That was actually a really huge show. Santa Cruz. They actually were going to reopen the Vets Hall. They had put one show through there. Second show was going to be like Veil of Noth and a couple other bands. That got canceled day of, and now the Vets Hall's closed again. So it was kind of a bummer they were bringing it back, but Santa Cruz is hurting from that for sure.
Is that's the same place? Are we talking about the same show that Brain Drill played too?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's the 418 Oh yeah, they did play that show too.
Yeah.
They definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
That was awesome.
First time seeing you guys, and been a fan. Fucking, I guess since I was in high school. That was for me. I was in high school, and then just
Sick.
right before Diminishing came out, and got the album ordered when I was in high school. Got the shirt. I'm not wearing it because it's got a fat hole in it, but I think it came from Matt's house with your address and everything on there. Like,
That sounds about right.
mail ordered. Yeah, I guess I wanted to start just asking you guys how you guys got the band started, and even before Decrepit Birth, like,
Yeah,
you know,
I was
Matt,
gonna
you
say,
talked
like, let's
about-
go all the way back to like when you guys discovered wanting to be musicians, you know, be in a band. And like, obviously, Bill, you go back, punk is like really, really deep in your roots,
I'm
right?
an old motherfucker,
Yeah, so you're saying
but not so old that it was the fucking hippie bullshit era.
totally. So you
80s hardcore
punk was your shit in the beginning, right?
if
Like,
you want to phrase it
first,
that way, yeah.
like, tell me, how old were you when you started wanting to be a vocalist and be in a band?
Suffocation came into my life, and I was like, oh, I could do this. I just felt like I could do guttural vocals,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
So you
Never
didn't have
felt that
any,
I
did
could
you have
sing
any
like whiny
projects
punk.
before you were doing guttural vocals?
No.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
So
Just-
we had a
just-
friend. We had a friend in common, Lee, our friend Lee.
Yeah.
And he introduced us. Lee was a guitar player that was local, and I met him the first night I saw Deeds of Flesh play. And excuse me. And anyway, Bill was his friend, and he kept saying, "Oh, you know, I got this friend who's a really sick vocalist." And I met Bill. He brought Bill over, and I was like 18 or 19.
17.
17. Shit. Yeah, I was
Wow.
young. And I had all these riffs and I had all these songs, and I was ready to go. I was hungry. And this
What
was
year,
like,
sorry to interrupt. What year is this exactly, do you think?
90, what, 4?
At
95?
the end of 94, December 94.
Okay.
Whoa.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
that's
was
what
a-
I was gonna get to. Like, the birth of Decrepit was like 10 years before End Time Begins, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so these guys were older than me by a little bit, and they were friends, and they just really thought, they liked what I was doing. They liked the songs that I was writing. I thought Bill had a killer voice, and our buddy Lee was a pretty good guitar player, and he hung out there with us for a while. Eventually he took off, and me and Bill just stuck with it. And we jammed with like local drummers here in Santa Cruz, and nobody could quite pull it quite right. It was like, I don't know, it just wasn't, quite what we were looking for, but we still jammed and tried to get to the point where we were ready to find the right person. And this was about like 98 or so. We met Derek Boyer, and he was playing with Deeds of Flesh, and we saw him with Deeds of Flesh, and we pushed. We were like, hey man, do you know any drummers? Do you know anybody? We got this, we got this music. We're looking for someone. And right there, we all became friends, and I learned about Deprecated that night. And I don't know, it was just kind of went from there.
Hell yeah. So, so you met Derek, you heard about Deprecated then, and so at that point, did you guys have any complete songs yet or anything, or was it just riffs?
So we had songs that were like the first versions of stuff that became like on End Time Begins.
Mhm.
And then I kind of just morphed that stuff into the End Time Begins stuff. And Derek and I we'd get together and hang out, and he moved from San Diego, because originally I went down and played with Deprecated for a little while, and I did that. And then I was just kind of like, I kind of want to do my own thing, I think. And I came back to Santa Cruz, and Bill and I were like, let's do this, and Derek's like, I'll move up there and play bass, and let's record an album. And, I got a little house, and he moved up into the house with me, and we worked on that shit like every day, fucking just writing music. And I had all these songs, and we kind of dissected them and rewrote them, and Derek was coming at me with songs, and Bill had ideas, all that kind of shit. Like, I don't know if Bill wants to throw something in here on any of that, but I guess not. You got anything to say about that, Bill? That time?
Matt's tell the story. He's doing a good job.
Anyway, yeah. Yeah, it was me and Derek. We wrote those songs, and we would also spend a lot of time at the Unique Leader house, which was the Deeds of Flesh house. We'd go down there. It was in Los Osos, and we'd work on music there. And Deeds of Flesh would be gone out on tour, and we'd be packing CDs and sending that shit out, and fucking just hanging out and working on music and kind of just getting the vibe. And being in the Deeds of Flesh house, just getting that vibe that we're in their house.
Anybody who's been there, you get that vibe.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we're sitting in there playing this music, writing shit, and feeling really good. Those guys come back from tour, and Eric was like, we're ready to sign you guys if you're ready to record a full album. So we went from there. He hooked us up with Tim Young, and we got to have him fly out, and I had a little makeshift studio out in my backyard at the house that we were all living in. And it was like totally shitty little garage. I'm sure Bill remembers this shit. It was rain. Yeah, it was like raining.
Oh, poor Tim. The drum set was floating.
Yeah.
Literally. He's like, what the fuck is this shit?
It was raining. It was raining at the little fucking garage that I had, and it was leaking into the garage in the ground. We were sitting there trying to record this record, and we have everything up on pallets, and it's like you can see Tim's like playing drums, and the pallets are like, swishing back and forth because there's water rushing in. But we got it done. And Tim recorded, and at the time, I don't think Tim was too stoked on exactly what we were doing. I think he was kind of like, this isn't my cup of tea as far as the material goes, because I think we were kind of doing stuff that not too many other bands were really doing yet at the time, with all the super technical changes. And, it was still kind of like the old school death metal was still kind of there, and the new stuff was kind of just
real
coming
quick.
in.
I was just gonna say, with "And Time Begins," like you totally feel like Deeds of Flesh, Disgorge vibe at times, but
those were the bands.
It was its own thing at the same time. It was like it was the next step, like it really was the album that showed the next step.
Wasn't there
our style?
Sorry to cut in, but wasn't there a demo out there with Kevin Talley on drums?
That's
I was going to bring that up. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to, that was one of the things that I wanted to bring up, because I used to go to Tower Records all the time at Stonestown Mall in San Francisco. We would go up there because they'd get all the biannual and annual metal zines that were put out independently, and SOD was one of them, and they would showcase a record label. So I think it would come out twice a year or 4 times a year, something like that. But I have to go get it because it come with sick artwork, and it'd give the fucking list of the bands that did all the interviews and shit. And it was like,
I miss those days.
Oh, dude, it was like thick paper. So you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna last a long time. This is gonna last so many shits, dude. So many shits, dude.
Always on the toilet with things.
And but what was cool about SOD is that they would showcase a record label with their magazine, and they put out a compilation with the magazine, and it was a Unique Leader compilation.
I remember.
And, dude, that compilation turned me on to it. It was like I just like jumped to the front line. Like I already knew everything, like just from that compilation, like boom, here's all of the Unique Leader. Here's all the sick shit you got. Fucking, I mean, I hadn't even heard Brutus and all that shit was on there. And then of course, Decrepit Birth with Kevin Talley, that demo. And I was just like, what is this, dude? And to see the change from that demo to And Time Begins too, because for all of us California death metal fans and musicians, the anticipation for And Time Begins, that's what it was. Like I talked to everybody about the anticipation of that album coming out before I knew you guys. It was like, oh dude, this is gonna be the shit. And then when it dropped, then you get the little like teaser tracks, you're like, oh dude, yes, it is the shit. And then you listen to the rest of them, you're like, yes, this is it, dude.
I think I remember meeting you like right around that time, right before And Time Begins came out. My story is I met Bill first because I was at the Pound, and I don't know if you were with him that night. He came up with
Derek. Probably Derek.
and you came with a backpack full of Decrepit merch, and I literally was like, can I buy one of your T-shirts? And
Did
you're
I
like,
sell
"Yeah,
it to you,
dude,
or
you were
did I
telling-"
give it to you?
No, I don't know if you were selling or whatever, but regardless, like I got a Decrepit shirt that night, you know, and I was just like, I can't wait to wear this shirt, you know. And then
Yeah.
later on soon I met you, Matt, and well, I think that we all really got close once Casey joined the band, you know.
Right.
Like once Casey was in and we started hanging out like deep, like that's when shit got real. But that's still
Sure.
kind of ahead. So you guys did the And Time Begins recording with Tim Young. Now, how was that process?
Yeah, so like I said, the drum recording was fucking that sucked. That was bad. But we did what we had to do. You know, we tried to, because we were all, I mean, at the time, I'm not sure how many brutal death metal bands were recording all their albums at home. I mean, maybe there was a few, but I think at that time, still people were still going into a studio to record their albums. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try and do this shit at home, you know, because I had an ADAT machine, and I had like some, at the time it was pretty advanced, like home recording equipment and stuff like that, like digital, like on the computer. So this was like 2001, you know, or 2002, and we just decided to do it, and we did the drums, and we edited the drums, and I'm sure Bill remembers how many hours we fucking took editing those drums. And it's not because the playing was bad. It was because the reason why is because Tim didn't get a chance to learn that material all the way through. So he would play up to like a section, you know, he'd play a section or up to a break, and we had to edit it all, you know, every single song. Maybe there was one or two songs that he played maybe halfway through and was able to play the other half, but he was learning these parts on the fly. So we had to button pieces together, sections together, and so we would record, and we'd have to write all these notes down where the different drum parts in, where they came in. It was a fucking nightmare. I would never want to have to do another album like that. It was, but we were learning, you know, and I was younger. I was in my early 20s at that point, and all the recording on the computer was very new to me, and I thought it was cool though. I thought we were doing what we could do. We're kind of doing it from home. We wanted that real death metal raw recording, so we figured, me and Derek were like, we can do this, and even Bill was jumping in helping us edit, and we all kind of learned together. So that was a lot of fun. We did the guitars at home and all that stuff at home, but we ended up mixing with Colin from Vile, and so he mixed it for us and mastered for us. He did, you know, he did a good job considering the product that we gave him. So I'm stoked that he was able to help us. I think if he didn't mix it and master it, I think that album would just sound really bad. So I'm stoked he did what he did to it.
I mean, but to be honest, like the drive to do that for your first record, like that, it's a feat, dude. And you guys did it. And dude, I mean, to get ready for this, I went through you guys' shit again, and listening to And Time Begins, dude, just took me right back to fucking being 18 again, you know? That's it. I mean, I was 19. I was 19 when that album came out. So it's like, for what it is, dude, it sounds fucking great, you know?
It still like holds the test of time of like, it still has this unique raw punch to it that still kicks you in the ass. I listened to it recently too, and I was like, gee, like some people will be like, it's kind of like raw, this kind of sounds. I'm like, dude, that's what makes it amazing. It's like, it has this rawness to it, but that just actually like punches you in the tits, you know? So, like, there's
awesome.
no way you can deny it, you know?
Hell yeah, man. I think, I don't know if any of the guitar players out there want to know why the guitar tone is so, it's just, like you said, maybe it's unique. I mean, some people, it really bugs the shit out of them. And some people are like, I just love that guitar tone because it's very unique on And Time Begins. Derek and I had an idea of running my Digitech system through his bass SansAmp DI. So we recorded our guitar and then EQ'd it with his bass SansAmp DI, and then ran that out into a power amp and then out into a cabinet. And that's what just gave it that I mean, you could hear I was playing the notes, but it's like, for some reason, it almost sounds like everything kind of just runs together. You know, it's like, it's got that kind of just like, it's like just a wall of sound kind of like with the guitar, but it's too bad because the guitars could have been a little louder on the recording too. It is what it is, you know, and
but we're all always going to talk like that, dude. I mean, I'm always going to say that I could have done better with my vocals.
Oh, dude, you're amazing, dude.
Kind of shit, but, dude, but no, what I'm trying to say is like to hear you, like, there's so many fans that are going to watch this right now and hear you talk like that. And they're going to be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
like,
yeah.
That's what the fans look at it differently than we do. Like, we're always going to nitpick at our shit, you know?
Yeah.
I have a really cool yeah.
Go for it.
Go ahead. Sorry. I was gonna say I have a really cool perspective on it because I'm like literally I'm literally a fan first that joined the band and got to learn everything that was done on And Time Begins, and actually had no clue that's how like crazy the riffs were. I basically thought it was just like a lot of like some chugging and some like like learning like the patterns, learning everything, like, because I came into it like knowing And Time Begins as an album first, and then just having you show me the songs, I was like, holy crap, you guys are doing that. Like, there's so much hidden in that album that's like some of the most like insane, like just insane riffs that like I still to this day like will just be driving down and like get my head stuck in my head. Like there's some catchy riffs that kind of they got lost a little bit in some of it, but the really heavy parts is what has always hit me with that album. Is like it builds up to like a super mega crushing like heavy part, you know. But a lot of the in between, I was like, I had no idea what you were doing, and then seeing the actual or learning the actual riffs,
the tab.
Holy shit! I was like, you're doing all of that this whole time? Like, it's crazy.
I remember when I first heard In Time Begins or heard of it, it was kind of a funny story. I was like living down in San Diego. It was like 2003, I guess. Because that's when it came out, right? That's the year, 2003. Yeah. And so I get this phone message from David and Josh, and they're like up in Santa Cruz, and they're like driving around. They're like, Casey, you gotta check out this band. Like this crazy message in the car, and they're blasting it in the car. They're like, it's like the drummer is like Tim Young and Derek from Decrepit, because we like love Deprecated, you know, and like we had that, you know, that first one induced us, or what is it called, like the
Writing
is creation is the we played Induced Deception. Anyways, but so yeah, I get this phone message and it's just all like, whoa, check it out, oh my god, it's all it's like, whoa, like the fuck. I'm like, okay, I gotta check this out, you know. And I went over to Spin Records here in Carlsbad and actually ordered it. They had to like special order In Time Begins for me. And then it came in a couple of weeks and I was like all stoked. And I remember just being like, dude, this artwork, holy crap. And then like put it on. And I was, dude, there's something special about that album. Like, it's just, I've always loved it.
There was we put a lot of, you know how it is when a band has their first album and, you know, you have all these ideas all from years, and it's just, you put it all in there. It's all raw, you know, it's nothing, the record labels don't matter. Nothing matters. No opinion. It's all about your opinion, because you don't have any fans yet, really. I mean, we had some fans, but not like seriously. I know there was some anticipation, like you guys were talking about, because we had a website that we put out there, and we put little clips and samples like about 6 months before we actually released the album. And then I think the album got leaked too, like on WinMX or one of those fucking things. So like a couple months before In Time Begins even came out, I think it got leaked, which fuck it. In the long run, I think it actually helped us. But yeah, man, that album really just a lot of raw emotion in there, as far as, you know, just that angst of youth. And, you know, I was young, and a lot of those riffs came from when I was like fucking a teenager. And you know how it is, you just have that anger, and it's raw, and it comes out in your music. And that's what In Time Begins was for me. And then Bill's like amazing, like lyrics, that was like the icing on the cake though. Like, to me, like, he just had these esoteric, like lyrics that when he would read them to me, I'd be like, holy fuck, what did I just hear? And if you read some of those lyrics that he, you know, wrote on that first album, they blow my mind still to this day. I'm like, God, those lyrics they're beautiful and brutal, and they're brutal. I mean, we all know that.
Brutal, dude.
They are.
Just to interject,
I fucking love it.
What was that one song that we never played? The one we never played, but had the coolest lyrics, right? Or something.
Rebirth.
Really, Rebirth.
Oh,
yeah.
Rebirth of Consciousness.
Rebirth.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Nope.
was that was
You
the
guys
song
always used to
where,
talk.
my lyrics took that direction. I just wrote that and went, oh, this is what I've got to start doing.
That's the path I'm going down.
Yeah, because it was way different. My lyrics were more cheesy before that, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
That
Do
song's
you
in
have
the first
a-
demo, right? Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, what inspires you? Because from writer to writer, what inspires you to write?
Just
Bill?
life, like living my life, and like
It sounds
I'm
it's the same
sitting
exact
there
question.
alone
I mean,
most of
answer
my
I'd
life
have too.
observing.
Yeah, life,
Yeah.
dude. It's
Like
like,
I'm an introvert most of my life, and I just sit there and watch and think and think and think and read and think and read, and then just yeah.
So that's, yeah. So that from me, I would just say that the only difference would be I'm not really necessarily would call myself an introvert. I'm more of an empath. So like I write with an empathetic, like for humanity. I have empathy for humanity while I'm writing.
Nice.
Even though I'm writing about negative shit, I'm still writing from an empathetic perspective. You know, that's all.
That's awesome. No, that's killer.
So
Yeah.
can I ask? I think
I've got actually ideas for a new album now. Thanks.
yeah.
It's a whole new concept. Anthony.
Let's do it.
I'm
Let's do
stealing
a
that from
collab.
you.
It's going to be a dual
No,
vocal.
no
thing now,
collaboration.
right?
It's mine.
Oh, it's all right.
Well,
just
speaking
take
of which,
it. I didn't have time to copyright that shit.
aren't you on the new Deeds, Bill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bill, are you
Yeah.
on the
Doing
new
a few
Deeds?
parts with
Right,
one of the songs with Anthony here.
Right, same song.
Yeah,
right?
dude. we're in
Awesome.
the-
Yeah.
What's the
me,
title of
him.
that song? Or is it not
Uh,
undisclosed yet? It's
No, it is called shit. What is it called?
I forget. I know
Ascension.
one of the words. Yeah. Or is
Ascension.
that it? That's the word.
I think
okay.
I think it's just.
Oh, cool.
I think it's just Ascension.
Yeah, that's what it
That's
is.
what the
I think
MP3
the
was
album
called.
comes out-
I remember
called
it.
when they
Yeah.
sent it to me. Ascension. It's
It's
gonna be
sick.
the third track on the album. Yeah, dude. Me, Bill, Obi. We're all on it together, dude. It's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little mini
That's fucking
fucking
cool.
bloodletting
That's
tour.
super rad.
Yeah.
A little mini
Yeah.
bloodletting tour song, dude.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Matt, you
It
did a
really
solo
is.
on that album, right?
Yes, I did. On the song Nucleus at the end there, and
Nice.
I'm on the little video that they just
on-
released.
It's on the
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
It's
That's
sick.
probably
So
that's awesome.
I'm really happy to get to be a part of that because obviously Deeds of Flesh, as far as the California death metal scene, they are the kings. I mean, there's bands before them
Yeah.
that were death metal bands. Obviously, like bands like Autopsy and Exhumed were around before Deeds of Flesh, really, but they weren't playing the same style. Deeds of Flesh played that technical. It was like Suffocation on fucking crack,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Totally.
that's what that
Back in
they,
ADD.
yeah, dude. Like the first time I saw them changed my life. Literally, I saw them in Santa Cruz play Deeds of Flesh, and there was maybe 2 or 3 other people in the crowd. And I was just standing there watching this band play the most amazing music I'd ever seen, and I was like, I want to play like that. I mean, I love Suffocation, and I want to do what they do too, but I wanted to incorporate this new style, this California style that bands like Deeds of Flesh, and then I heard about Disgorge not much long later, not too much after that, excuse me, and I was like, this band, that band, all these bands from California. Then Deprecated I heard about, it was just a whole thing, and it was funny how we're all started with D. I always thought that was kind of a weird. It's like Decrepit Bird, Deeds
Yeah.
of Flesh. Anyway, we're all D bands. But yeah, man, we just fucking had a certain style that, at that time, I think it sounded really fresh. And there was a lot of people that were, especially the younger crowd that was maybe just getting into death metal, and they really wanted that amped up style. I think they looked to the Unique Leader bands, and it wasn't even just California bands, because there was bands like Disavowed and Pyamia and, all these bands from around the world that Unique Leader and Eric was signing. And I was like, Jesus, and then I heard this two bands, especially that Unique Leader signed. And I know this is not California, but I have to say Spawn of Possession and Psychroptic.
Psychroptic.
Those two
Yeah.
fucking bands were just like,
Next level.
So good.
yeah, they took
yeah,
it
dude.
like, I mean, they brought something different to it where, you know, of course, you know, the music like Discords and Deeds of Flesh we were doing was just so raw and aggressive, and there wasn't really like any guitar solos, and it wasn't really so much about melody. It was about fucking pound you in the face over and over, chromatic riffs and just brutality, you know, and speed and technicality, but melody didn't count so much. And then I met you guys, you know, I started hanging out with you guys, and especially Casey, and you know, and you know, we listened to bands like Necrophagist and Spawn of Possession and that kind of stuff, and then Quo Vadis and all those bands that I learned from, you know, me hanging out with you guys, and I really got more into bringing in some theory into the music and some melody and doing something different, and that's, you know, where it led to the Diminishing Between Worlds stuff, you know. So that's kind of where it went.
That's kind of where my next question was going to go. Like, at what point did you decide that you were going to take a more melodic, more focused approach to the songwriting, you know? But you answered it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I also got to say too, I mean, obviously Death. I mean, I've always been a huge fan of Death. I've always loved Death Human. Like I got into Death when, I think like when Spiritual Healing came out. So I was like 89 or 90, something like that. That's kind of when I got into death metal. And Death was the first band. Them and Morbid Angel were the bands for me. But something about Death, I was always just, Chuck really meant a lot to me. And then eventually Chuck passed on, and I was like, you know what? At some point in time, I really want to honor Chuck on one of my albums. You know, if I ever come out with an album, it might not be our first album, it might not be our second or third, but it ended up being Diminishing for me, because I think there's a lot of death inspired stuff on Diminishing Between Worlds. And I mean, same with Polarity too. It carried over, but a lot on Diminishing. And to me, I mean, it's not like it's an outright tribute to Chuck, but in my way, I look at it like when I'm on stage, it's like I'm playing And Time Begins stuff, and it's like a brutal feeling. It's like I'm gonna get down and crouch my head and be like, you know, I'm playing brutal shit. But when I play the stuff that's on Diminishing, it's more like it's soulful. It's like I'm connecting with my instrument, and I'm letting my soul kind of just take over while I'm playing, and I'm not thinking so much, you know? And I just love that feeling when I'm on stage. That's my favorite part of being on stage, is when you're just connecting with the audience and your music. And the stuff on Diminishing made it really easy to connect more with the audience. And that's why I love Diminishing Between Worlds. I love the drumming on it. I love everything on it. It's my favorite album of ours that we've done. And a lot of bands will say, oh, my last album was my favorite. I love our last record. I do. And I like where I'm going to be going with the next record, but there's something special about Diminishing, and just, you know, especially having Casey's on there, and, you know, it was the three of us recording that shit, and it was special.
Those were good times, man.
Yeah, very good times. I was just going to say, like, with Odious, like Cryptic, the second album is the same kind of feeling, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, I wasn't on the first one, but like the second album, you know, everybody is like, I remember the Cryptic days, you know?
It's still our favorite.
You guys,
you know,
honestly, like, you guys came out with your record a little bit before Diminishing.
Right.
It was 07 sometime. What year did Diminishing come out? Did it come out 07 or 08?
Yeah, 2007. Diminishing came out. Yeah.
2007.
Or what was it? 2000. I'm sorry.
I think it was January 08 or something. January, February 08.
I misspoke. I meant to say Cryptic, and then
we were on tour with Black Dahlia. Remember that? That was right when we were on tour with them. Anyway, so that album came out, and just we were really. I looked up to kind of what you guys were doing. I mean, we went to Zach because of you guys.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with the way he made the guitars and the drums kind of sound together, and I wanted that sound. Yeah. And you guys kind of, you know, you were setting a high bar with Cryptic Implosion, and I was like, man, you know, like I want to live up to what they're doing. And I mean, I'm not saying that it was any kind of competition. I just wanted to be up there with how your guys' record sounded, dude, and I thought it sounded so good.
Thank you very much, dude. And this is this just goes back to what I was talking about. Like the whole reason why we love to talk about what we were doing back then in the scene is because we were all propping each other up. We were all
Right.
pushing
Yeah.
each other
Right.
to the furthest we can go, because it was like you didn't want to feel like you were left behind. Like everybody's moving forward. We need to keep going, you know?
Right.
That
Everybody
feeling
was
is
so
great,
good.
man.
Everybody was so good at their instruments and writing these crazy, fresh new songs and style that really nobody had heard. You know, Severed Savior, all
Yeah.
you guys, fucking Odious Mortem, just especially that Cryptic Implosion, though, that set a bar for
Fuck
I
yeah,
think a
dude.
lot of people. So
Well,
the
that's
guitar
awesome,
playing
dude.
was just
And
insane.
to hear you say that, that's so cool, because like we're saying the same thing about In Time Begins, you know?
Right.
So it's like it
Pass the torch.
it just solidifies what
layering.
we're just saying. Like it
It's
keeps
like-
on, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
it's like that, you know, like everybody's going up the handle of the bat. Who's gonna end up on top? It's not really who's
Yep.
gonna end up on top, but it's just
No, but we all
never
push,
end.
we drive
we
each
just
other
keep
to
look
get
like we're
keep
jerking
going.
dicks all the way up.
And we were in such a close circle that we were kind of like, we were stoked. We weren't like, yeah, there was no competition. We were like, awesome. We
No.
were like, you know,
Yeah.
like, and even like animosity was the reason why we even went to Zach, because they were just like, go, you guys have to go to Zach. You guys have to do
We
this.
heard Empires.
Yeah. And we were like,
yeah,
really?
dude.
They're like, you have to do it. And we're like, all right, we'll try it. And then even, yeah, it was one of the most sobering. It was definitely like one of the craziest experiences of my
It was
life
like
going
a
there.
boot camp, dude.
Boot camp of just like how we're supposed to, you know, we've never been in a professional studio before. So we were like, we basically like walked in there and Zach's like, you need to do this, you need to do this. Oh, you're doing that wrong. You're doing that wrong. Shit. Well, I'm trying to
Where do
figure
I
out, like, what to do.
sit? Should I sit this way?
Oh,
He-
I'd
what
like
do I
to-
do?
Yeah, he really made sure that bands did things the right way, and he would keep pressuring you to keep taking the take over until it was done properly.
Oh, dude, I loved
Exactly.
his truth. I loved his truth. Like,
Yeah.
no, you
Yeah.
got to do it again. Okay,
Yeah.
That's
I got to
great.
do it again.
Oh yeah, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to real quick, like, kind of chime in about, like, before we move on, about like how I kind of like also like got a hold of you, Matt, back in the day about like recording and stuff, you know, like in 2004,
Oh,
before I
dude.
met you, you know, and I remember the Derek Roddy forum. Remember that?
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah. And so that was the thing, you know, and so and I
That's where
remember-
we met, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you're
Yeah.
like, I think your name was In Time Begins or whatever, right? Or something. Or was it Shroud of
Shroud of
Impurity?
Impurity.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, oh man, that's Matt from Decrepit. Holy shit. You know? And like you'd like comment and be like, oh wow. And like we're talking about music and stuff. And everyone was like posting, you know, their like links and music and like trying to upload it. It was like 2004, you know?
Yeah.
But I just remember those days. And like I remember you posted like an original track of like, I think it was called Diminishing Between Worlds, but it was like this original version of it, you know? And
That sounds familiar.
yeah, and like, and it was like the sickest thing ever. Like I was like, what is this, you know? And I already, you know, had In Time Begins and obviously was like super stoked on it, you know?
Yeah.
So I just remember those days. And then we got a hold of you, like, yeah, dude, to come record with you in Santa Cruz, you know?
Yep.
And you recorded our first Odious album. So they kind of just like pulling back, that was 2004. That's when I met you. And I
Yeah.
remember driving up there with Dan. I was 21. And I drove up with Dan like all night. We worked, and then we got off late, and then like, you know, drove up all night, got there at like 4 a.m, slept on David's couch, and I couldn't really sleep. I was so excited to record, you know. We met you.
You guys-
dude, we're gonna record at Matt's house and stuff, you know. And
Yeah.
it was awesome, dude. So, and then of course after that we became good friends. And
For sure. I was so impressed. Like, you guys just came and played those songs for that album in just one take. It was just like wham bam, you guys are in, you're out, and it was, the drumming was so good. You know, at the time I was like, wow, this is amazing. He just came in and just played all these songs really quick, and you guys were sick. You know, I mean, obviously there was a big change up to your next album, but still, for what that record was, I had such a good time recording it with you guys, man. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, dude, and just as a fan, like that, because that album, they hadn't even put it out yet when I started hanging out. Because Joel joined, and then soon after that, me and Dan started coming down there and hanging out, and I got a CDR version of Devouring, and we listened to it like 4 times in a row on the way home, just like, what is this? Like, what's the fucking Caverns of Reason, dude? When we first heard that song, dude, you're just like
sick.
you physically like that one little fucking guitar lick, you're like, wait, what's going on? Wait, my brain is kind of fucked up right now. It was the same thing I was talking about. Like, you have to be like uploaded with the new software when you listen to it. So long rant, just saying, like, from a fan, what Joel was saying earlier, like from a fan before you join the band, like it's a cool thing to finally be in the band, you know?
Yeah, it changes everything.
Yeah, totally, dude. And then Cryptic being the next album. But this isn't about Odious, dude. What? This
Yeah,
isn't
and we
about
had so
Odious
much
podcast.
respect.
No, you
No,
guys,
It's just about how
you
we
guys
met.
were
That's all
part
I
of
was
the
saying.
history.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I'm saying that jokingly. I'm just saying, like,
and
this is the
especially the recording.
Back to the
because-
birth.
Yeah, well, no, that's how we met, though.
Yeah,
I recorded the
totally.
first Odious album. I even recorded a couple of your guys' demo, maybe one demo of yours after that too.
Oh,
yeah,
dude, we loved your
kitchen,
demos.
or no,
The
not
kitchen
kitchen
demo.
Okay,
Kitchen demo.
all right, perfect that you brought that up real quick, and I'm not trying to take over on the mic a bunch, but so you, Matt, are the reason why I stopped cupping the microphone.
Oh no, really?
In a good way, because
Okay.
it made me project more. It made my voice sound different because I used to use cupping the mic as a crutch. You know, that
Right.
sounded terrible, but I used to use it as a crutch, and then I'm recording we were at the storage unit. We were at the storage unit and we were recording that demo. And at some point you're like, dude, like, let's just see what it sounds like if you take your hand off the mic. And I got enough courage to fucking record without cupping the mic. And I was like, oh, it actually sounds all right, you know? And then that became like a new thing for me. Like, I don't need to cup the mic. I want to really make my voice and throat be the thing, you know?
Well, my opinion on the cupping thing, just really quick, and I'm not going to make a long thing of it. I encourage Bill to cup the mic on stage, not all the time, on certain parts.
Yeah, that's what I do on live. I'm talking just recording. Yeah. I'm talking recording. Sorry,
even in the album, like our last album, there's tons of parts where I'll just, because it adds an effect, and it's like I could throw some EQ on there and boost like mid range or something, and try and get that like wind tunnel effect. But there's something cool every once in a while.
Totally.
It's like it's your hands.
I'm not knocking it when I said that.
No, I know, and I'm not saying you, but I hear a lot of people out there who say, you know, don't cup the mic, and maybe not the whole time, but if you're just going to throw it in every now and again, especially live, like you said, or on a record, to me, it's natural. It's a natural effect. It's your hands.
A brutalizer.
And it does. It's like it makes this all of a sudden. It just really makes it.
When I want to get guttural live, I'll definitely use that technique for sure. I'm just saying,
man,
like,
fuck it.
No, but I look back at that moment as like a time where I
can't even remember that for some reason. I don't remember.
We were in the storage unit, and you brought your recording equipment to the studio.
Okay.
You were recording just my vocals in there. I don't know if you did drums there too or whatever.
I don't remember it.
My vocals for that demo. Well, it was like 2005, dude, or some shit like that, you know?
Right.
And it was just like a couple songs. I think because was a kitchen demo you too? Or did we do that separately, Casey?
That was Matt.
Okay, so then you did two demos with me.
I can't even remember what I did.
We did like multiple ones, for sure.
Yeah, I did like a total of 5 songs from Cryptic demo versions with me on vocals on 2 different demos.
Yeah,
one with cupping and one without.
I mean, also back then we kind of cared more about techniques and what people are using and what it's going to make us look like if we do something, or we were,
Well, I was using it as a crutch because I couldn't project as much as I wanted to, and then
now if it sounds good, if it sounds good now, like we're old enough, we're like, okay, use it, dude. Like
that's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
You know. But in the long run, man, you know, it's the same thing. You know, there's another thing that a lot of these California bands get. You know, there's the newer bands, especially like a band like Rings of Saturn, where bands are getting accused of cheating and speeding things up and doing, you know, or are triggers cheating and all this stuff, or they play in doubles on their feet, you know, all this stuff, you know. I don't know. It's just it's. You know, you go into the studio and sometimes there's some studio trickery that's done with these bands, and I don't care who you are. I know a lot of I can tell when a record's got quantized double bass, and I know when it does, and you know, it's like people can try and pretend that, you know, that they don't, but I can tell when it is. And, you know, as long as you can go on stage and fucking play that shit and entertain people and make them smile, I think that's the thing. Your product, you want your product to sound sick, you know, you want your product to be fucking as much as it can be. And I'm not saying go in there and cheat. And I'm not saying, you know, speed shit up or anything like that. But sometimes you have to edit and do certain things and clean things up. And this is just what's done. And any professional, huge multi, you know, money maker band will go into a studio and they're going to clean up everything. They're going to edit everything.
Yeah.
And this is just the way it goes. So, I don't know. And I'm not trying to say, you know, I mean, if you can go in there and absolutely kill it and you're a drummer that can play, you know, 260 beats per minute and you can get your intervals to be 16th notes and really line it up and you can do it, fuck yeah, that's fucking awesome. And then if you have to do doubles to get there, cool. But these are things that bands like us get accused of a lot, you know, and I'm not saying it's a negative thing, but that's what comes along with playing really fast. And that's something that bands, you know, like us or Deeds of Flesh, and I've heard it all, you know, Discords, we get accused of like cheating a lot in the studio. And, you know, I say again, you know, we want to make a killer product. It's not cheating if we have to clean up the drums here and there, you know. So
and if you if you're doing it a lot too, like, I mean, if it's like, it's one of those things where you're really editing things to an extreme point, like the truth will come out when you play live. Like,
right.
There will be videos of you playing and the truth, if you're going to edit it that much, the truth is out in the fucking arena, or, you know, the clubs and stuff. They'll see it. Like, it's not,
I agree,
it's
totally.
It's you know, it's one of those things. If you want to put that product out, that's on you. If you want to clean things up here and there, that's what everyone does. Like, that's just what happens. Like, it's one of those things where it's money, it's time. We got to get it done. You know, it's like we got nerves. Sometimes you got to move a kick every now and then, or you got to change a part every now and then. Like, that's just what's going to happen. But if you're going to, like,
the type of editing that we're talking about, it's not like crazy, like totally record it and then just go through every single note and line them up exactly perfect. No, it's like,
I mean,
listen to
there's
it.
bands out there that do that though. I mean, that will go in there and clean it up to the point where it's quantized every single kick drum hit. All the tom hits will be quantized. I mean, and I'm not saying, you know, I'm not saying that's a terrible thing, but as long as you can fucking play that shit live, you better be able to do it live. That's all I can say.
The truth will come out.
You know, yeah.
Because then it's just,
that's just a natural thing that goes along with playing this style of music. And I felt like it was something to touch on.
No, totally. And I mean, if you want to be just a studio band doing that, that's totally chill too. You know,
Exactly.
It's like art is art, you know, it's just like, you could go to take it to the extreme boundaries to where you know for sure that it's inhuman, but that's your point, you know.
I mean, using computers isn't human, you know. That could be something, you know. Some people could rip on art saying, well, he used Photoshop for it instead of drew it, you know. It's like you could be taken like in so many different ways, and you know, for editing and stuff like that. Where
if we were having this conversation earlier in our 20s, we would probably be saying something different. But now that we're old enough, we're realizing like it doesn't fucking matter, dude. You express yourself the way that you want to express yourself, and I mean, I just recently got a shirt by a band called Angus Tron. That they're like an electronic avant-garde grind band that has like hip hop and dance in it too. But it's like, it's totally synthetic sounding, but it's for that purpose, you know? And actually, it's not really, I shouldn't say synthetic sounding, but it's a drum machine band, you know. But the guitars are actually fucking legit. But either way, I'm just saying,
you know,
like,
the final product it's like it's a canvas, and we're trying to paint our art onto that canvas, and we're trying to satisfy especially ourselves first as musicians. A lot of the time I'm more personal about the way I write my songs, because I want to write these songs to entertain myself first, you know. Like, I want to be able to put my song in the car and drive down the road and be like, fuck yeah, it sounds jamming. You know, I know you guys know that feeling. It's awesome when it's like that.
Totally.
So I think that first, but then I think, you know, it would be cool to, you know, get the fans into it and, you know, have a killer like mosh crushing part where the fans can get into what we're doing, you know. And so that's kind of, you know, that's something that's really important with writing this music is you can, I mean, you can be all about yourself and write these crazy music that just entertains yourself. But if you don't, you know, get something that's going to hook the fans, when you go to play live in front of like, you know, a couple of thousand people at an open air fest in, you know, Germany, it's going to be hard to hear some of those notes come through, you know, and you want to play something that is going to be able to hook the crowd, you know, and something that's going to crush. So that's why bands like Suffocation, you know, it's just riff after riff of good stuff that just catches you and you can't help yourself, you know.
So
And that adds to your repertoire of just like of your canvas. What you're saying, like that adds like what you want in your music is like you're playing, like you don't want to be playing for people that are staring at you. You want, and like you do a couple tours of just the most technical stuff you could possibly play, and they're like, and then you're like,
right,
okay, well, you know, like this is for, I mean, that's like a little too much for me. Like on a lot of these riffs, like I want to kind of like what I want is the crowd to move. Like that's what I want. Like
So
I want to see them move.
I was
like,
gonna
that's
go
like
to
I'll
Matt,
write riffs around that. Yeah, go ahead.
Matt was just leading me into, you know, because obviously we're gonna try and keep this on a timeline. You know, now we're a little bit past diminishing and all that stuff, and Polarity and is Access Mundi, right? Those two albums, I can notice what you guys are talking about a lot more right now with writing riffs for the crowd, for the live setting. There's so many more of those riffs on both of those albums compared to the previous two. Even though Diminishing, like there are definitely riffs for the crowd on that album as well, and even in Time Begins. But I'm just saying, like once you get into Polarity and you get into the newest one, you really notice that is your goal. You want some headbanging riffs in there, and you got them all over the place in there, you know? It's like, I was listening to them at work today. I'm working on cars and shit, and I'm just like doing this the whole fucking time. Like, oh,
that's what I want.
This is what Matt wants me to be doing right now. I'm going to keep doing it.
You to do, man.
I love the new album. I love it. I think
it's fucking, it's great, dude.
Awesome.
To be honest, dude, like I listened to it once when it came out, and it's just like, it's not that I didn't revisit it because I didn't like it. It was just like, I have so many different
I know how it is.
Things going on in music that I want to listen to. It's like I touched it and I was like, oh yeah, this sounds really fucking good. And then revisiting it again recently, I'm like, oh yeah, dude, this is actually fucking killer.
Do you want to chime in about like some of the lyrics and like about the like either
Access Mundi or
especially
Polarity?
The new one? Sure, why not? Yeah. If you
want to explain talk about Access Mundi,
because that one's really cool. Yeah, like you know, I mean,
he came up with the cover for that too, by the way.
Oh really?
Well, just ideas. You know, the ideas of the whole DNA thing and whatever, you know, for the cover art. But let Dan just did his own thing though with the ideas we gave him. But the album actually, this might sound stupid to the people out there, but on Polarity, everyone really liked the song Solar Impulse. Was that it, Matt?
Yeah, Solar Impulse.
The one you it was shorter and mostly musical, and you wrote.
Yeah, it was a little different. Yeah.
Okay, well, it was not Decrepit Burst style.
A little different.
Yeah, like it's a fucking awesome song, and the lyrics were so good. And Matt wrote all the lyrics. So my understanding of the lyrics when I read them is this certain story, whether that's what Matt meant or not. And the fact that so many people like the feedback anyway, so many people really like that song that I decided I'm going to continue that story on the next album. So to me, the first song on Access Mundi is Solar Impulse. And so
it's like a continuation.
Yeah, tie back.
Like that would be the first song. It's basically my understanding is this being human, whatever, dies and is going into whatever's next. And I just continue the story the way I made it up at that point. And the album actually didn't conclude. It's like the songs stopped before I finished the story, you know, because
because there needs to be another.
I didn't make it short enough. And so who knows, it could continue in the future, or a song here and there could be a continuation. Who knows what the next album will be like, but basically that's the the way I came up with that. And I'm not going to explain my concept. People come up with their own ideas of what I wrote, and awesome. They're usually really good. What they come up with is almost like a whole concept of like, holy shit. This kid is the example with what was that song off the first album? God damn. I wish I had the album right here. Not In Time Begins. What was the one before of Genocide, Matt?
Prelude? Or
Concepting the Era.
Concepting?
Okay, this kid comes up to me. He's like 13 years old, and we're on tour on probably our first tour, with that album. And he's like, yeah, I think I understand the song Concepting the Era. And he's a fucking little kid. And he tells me his whole idea, and it was nothing like what the song was about. And I was like, I can't remember. It was so deep. It just went like Joel says about the music sometimes. It was too much. I'm like, I can't remember it all, but it was a whole concept for another
That's
album,
awesome,
really, what this kid came up with. Nothing close to what the song was about. But
it's better.
And that's where people can read the lyrics to the albums and come up with their own ideas of what it is. And I like that anyway, because I know what it is to me. It's a whole story. And to other people, it might just be mumbo jumbo. Other people might, each song is its own thing and unrelated. And who gives a fuck? It's
Joseph,
music.
You got something? I saw it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so Bill, like I used to bring the Diminishing Between World liner notes with the lyrics in them to English class and put it in my book, so it looked like I was reading the book, but I was really just reading your lyrics.
English class.
I used to assume it was all Bill, but maybe did Matt write any lyrics back in the day, or did you only start writing later?
The death metal version of Hiding Your Playboy.
But yeah, so this is like, I know, right? Yeah. And I just like Diminishing in particular has so many moments that like line up with the music where Matt writes something really soulful. And then the lyrics sound like the kind of like epiphanies you'll have like at the peak of an acid trip or something, where it's like in Through Alchemy Bound Eternal, you'll say, I am the universe, I am the sacred key, I am the force which binds the eternal, I will forever be. And for me and like my generation, when you guys were like the rock stars of my hometown or whatever, you guys were also giving me like a worldview, like a way of making sense of like what music is about and like what the ultimate goal of art was, which is to like capture this like other world that you can like kind of bring into this one, is how I interpret it. And I was just like, that was like a way to do it. And it was like folk. It was kind of like a folk way of doing it. It wasn't like high art, like classical music in concert halls. It was like people, just underground musicians discovering this kind of crazy truth and bringing it out that way.
That's
so
cool.
It's just, that was my whole, like, it just inspired me. And I went on to like study philosophy and became a fucking logician and everything since then. It was really just, that was one of the real inspiring things for me. So
awesome. I think the fact that Bill has always been the type of person who's not plugged in like how I am. I'm maybe more a little plugged into just normal society. I have TVs and stuff at my house that I watch. He's more of a book reader, and
I like to get tubed. I read books because it got dark and I can't pass out.
To get tubed, bro.
Yeah, there's a lot of like nature in it too, like natural meaning.
Inspired by that.
There's no better high definition than right in the tube, right?
Bill actually is one of those guys where I remember someone I forget someone in our group told me, they were like, dude, if Bill had $1 million, he would be the exact same motherfucker he would be, the way he is right now. He's just true to himself. Not to suck your balls, but you're one of my best friends, or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have a fucking $1 million though. God damn it.
No, man, it's one of those things that you're one of the most sticking to your guns like human beings I've ever met in my life. It just will stick to dude, I'll hold you later. I will hold you.
I will hold you.
But no, seriously though, man, like you stick like how many hours have we spent in the living room, back in the day, like just talking, riffing on stuff, and
Yeah,
That's right.
You've always stuck to your guns. There's always like I feel like comparing it to myself, I'm kind of like I feel kind of like a bitch, like more malleable. Like I will like, oh, depending on the situation, I will do I'll take a different path or do something. Bill's like, no, I will.
No,
This is what I'm
always the
doing.
same.
Exactly, and that's always been like actually that's awesome, man. And I think it should get out there more of like that style of thinking.
Yeah,
But,
it drives
now
a
that
lot of my friends crazy because they're like, "God
Principle.
damn, you're a fucking boring motherfucker." It's like, I just like what I like. I just want to
You
get
like what you
tubed.
like. That's all it is. Just like
Yeah.
YouTube. Not YouTube, like me and Matt. Me and Matt get YouTube. You get tube, dude.
I guess maybe sticking with like the conceptual side, but the musical side of that, like when you guys were like coming up with the Decrepit sound, like you guys had influences, but you also like kind of imagined something that hadn't existed yet. So there's like real creativity that like came in to the sound. And like, did you guys have like not musical inspiration? Like I want to like copy Deeds of Flesh, but you have like, I want to sound like this thing that hasn't been done before. And like, how did you like conceptualize that? Like how did you even come up with what you ended up bringing in?
I think, I mean, I've always been into like other types of music. Like I like a lot of, I like jazz. I like stuff like Al Di Meola and stuff like that. I like classical music. I like, our music is also inspired by things that you kind of almost said it. It was like things that aren't necessarily even music. Like you said, like nature and just being good, and I know it's weird because it's death metal, but it's like, it's the purest form of ourselves because it's our music and we're sharing something with the world. And that's what every musician, I think, should really want to do, is share something personal through their music. It's a release, it's a release of, I mean, especially around Diminishing, I went through personally so many things around that time. And I think Casey remembers some of the things that we were dealing with around that time. And it was just a weird time, and that album to me has so much pure emotion, Diminishing. And I think it's just important to not always just be influenced by one thing. It's be influenced by all the things around you, and like I don't know. I mean, I don't want to try to sound political or try to sound this or that or whatever. I want to say it's just like, just be a good person, and that's kind of like what I think our music is. It kind of says that in its own weird way, and it might sound dark and brutal, but really it's just me being a human being, and it's so raw, and it's just pure emotion, and it's just me just being a good person, and that's when I compose the music. That's what it is.
That's
I
a
love you,
perfect
Matt.
answer.
And
Totally.
the thing I want to say is that it was so funny. Like when I would tell my parents or family members, like, "Oh, you're touring in this band. Like, what are they called?" And I'm like, "Oh, they're called Decrepit Birth," And it's like, but it's like you don't understand. Like, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm like okay." And like my family's super cool, but it was just kind of funny. Like it's always like, yeah, but you don't understand. Like the depth of the lyrics and like what it actually means. And like, Bill, what does Decrepit Birth mean, or Matt?
You want to take it, Bill?
Well, it means whatever you want it to mean. But for me, we were right. I just would write songs way before we had music, just because I had the ideas. And it was a lyric in a song that was just starting back with, say, nature, and that's all it was. And there was just things before what we know. It was just bullshit. I was making it up. And then there was the way we know animals and this and that and evolution, and then man. And that was what, instead of saying, and then there's man, it was like Decrepit Birth. And that's just the way I referenced man being evolved into the scheme of what we have in life. And I threw the song idea out to Matt and Lee and this drummer we had at the time, Paul, and they all kind of laughed because it's hard coming up with a name. And it sounds
I didn't like
stupid.
it at first. I didn't like it at
and
first.
like Paul just laughed. He's all Afterbird, and Paul is fucking awesome. What a fucking good motherfucker that guy is.
That's our old drummer, Paul,
and
from years ago.
That show that Matt saw Deeds at, it was me and Matt and Lee, the first guitar player we had. We went to that, and there was a band called Iteration at the time. One of Lee's friends, some kid, Nick or whatever, I think, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And Lee kind of threw out after the show, and this is the way I heard it. I can't speak for Matt, but he's all, man, just think if we get this thing going, you know, and the flyer's like iteration, decrepit birth, and deeds of flesh. And when someone else said it, it sounded fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way I heard it. And it wasn't the name yet. And then one day it just became, Matt came up with the lyric or the logo. And, you know, the first version of it before what it is now, which is the same, but morphed. But, and
Well,
that was it.
You squished it, right? It was like Decrepit Birth, and you squished it, right? You took it, made it taller. The original drawing.
He
of
did what he did to it, you know.
Yeah.
It was just long and skinny at first instead of like this.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it just became like, I guess Matt just said, fuck, this is it, and drew the logo, and it was killer. And then what he did to it since then, I mean, I really like our logo. It's readable. It's not a splatter of lines. It's legible. And
like the Odious
anyway,
logo. No, I'm just kidding.
That's the thought that I was having in my head, like the anti-Odious logo.
No, but you can read Odious Mortem.
Totally. But it's still a splatter of lines. It's just
no.
I'm just fucking with you guys.
No, totally.
Like, what the fuck?
The thing I was gonna say about the name Decrepit Birth, I know this is kind of crazy and maybe kind of weird, but first of all, there's a suffocation lyric in one of their songs on Breeding the Spawn.
Okay, that's how I got the name.
Yeah, anyway, that's the Decrepit Birth appears like that in one of their songs as a lyric. And that was before we came up with the name. So people think that we got it from that, but I guess Bill didn't. So, but for me, the name,
like, it's not impossible, you know?
I one that I loved Suffocation. I knew their photo.
Yeah, he didn't read the lyrics.
The name of any of the members. I never could sit and read the lyrics other than to read them and go, wow, these aren't just a normal fucking murder and rape lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't like follow the song and know the name of the song and read the lyrics and know them all. I just never, I was about the song. They asked me to come tour with them to fill in for Frank. I actually had to learn the lyrics. After how many fucking years have I been a fan of them?
Yeah.
I had to sit and learn the lyrics.
Yeah, he filled in for Suffa.
It was legit. That was
cool.
Like, I'm stoked that my mind was on the same page as them. That was a lyric in one of our songs that we never used.
Yeah.
Because, that
crazy.
makes me so stoked. Because they were a huge inspiration. Whoever wrote their lyrics was a huge inspiration to me in death metal lyrics, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, the Suffocation is the ultimate influence for us. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, when it comes to death metal, I love bands like I love Cannibal Corpse, I love Deicide, Morbid Angel, Death, but the blueprints came for us from Suffocation. And then, then we caught on to stuff like, Deeds of Flesh, and that really changed it. But yeah, Suffocation was the main inspiration.
Definitely the root of it.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, to kind of get back though towards also the newer stuff, because you were saying, how we wanted to kind of hook people more with our music, and the structure, is about adding in more structure. And on Polarity, I mean, you can really hear the difference on Polarity compared to, if you put on Polarity and then listen to And Time Begins, it almost sounds like a different band. I mean, it really. There's similarities, but I mean, it's so much more structure, and the songs were created in a way that's more, I see as more musical and less experimental. But there is the moments where we do some experimental stuff on Polarity, like Bill said, Solar Impulse, and we have some other instrumental songs on there. So that we experimented in a different way. It wasn't necessarily, Polarity wasn't an album that was about being brutal, and I'll admit that that wasn't the top of my mind, was to write a record that is fucking brutal. Since then, I've kind of started to kind of go back a little bit, and you can tell, on Axis Mundi, we started to get into bringing in some of the End Time Begins style back into Definitely. That. You can hear that, I kind of play some of those, just more crushing, heavy riffs, and it's not just always about melody like it was so much on Polarity. And I just, I'm a different person now. I'm 42 years old. When I wrote Diminishing and that, I was, maybe just getting into my 30s. So, and life was different for me back then. And maybe I was more of an emotional person or whatever. But
that's kind of something that I was thinking about, like, because I knew that you guys had been working on And Time Begins for so long before Diminishing that it totally makes sense to me that there would be a change from And Time Begins to Diminishing, because you had a decade to progress and expand as a musician and be into different shit. So for, you know, for the regular fan who didn't know the history would be like, oh, they immediately changed styles after And Time Begins. But I guarantee that the root of you wanting to start changing the style and incorporating melody and all that stuff started way before And Time Begins as well.
Oh, for sure. Actually, yeah, I thought about it. And when we recorded And Time Begins, I wanted to record the death cover that we recorded on Polarity. And everybody, or like Derek was just like, I don't think it's a good idea. It just wouldn't fit. It's too melodic to put on And Time Begins. And I think in the long run, I think he was right. And I think waiting till Polarity, which was the right time to do it, you know, that's how it is with music. Sometimes you write something and you keep it on the back burner for fucking years, and you come out with other albums and other stuff. And you're just like, I've got that. Yeah.
Elbow,
you know how it
Casey.
is.
Oh yeah.
Oh, totally.
That's how it is.
We got some old back burner stuff that's bubbling up right now.
I think Casey was also, I want to say also having Casey in the band, and Casey's, you're kind of like a natural music teacher. That's what you do that's your profession now. And I knew you were headed in that direction. And I'm very proud of you for doing that. And I could always see that. And spending time with you on tour and listening to you talk about music really, it really inspired me to hear another death metal musician talk about music that way, you know. And a lot of the musicians I had been around had never talked about music theory and getting deeper into the actual music. And it was just more about a feeling before. But then when I met you, you helped me really dissect the music and really start to understand the more complex side of music. And man, that's been such an important thing to me. And I've taken a lot of what I've learned from you, and I'm applying it still to what I'm trying to do today. So, you know, that was huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, it's awesome, man. And we had so many good times back in the day, like
for sure.
Between, you know, and also our friend Carrie, you know, from Son of Aurelius. And he's now doing, well, it's kind of a secret, but he's now doing Odious stuff with us. Well, he did a guest solo on, you know, on the new album and stuff. And we actually have a lot of songs written for another one. We'll get into that later. It doesn't matter. The point is that you know, back in those times, man, like, it was so fun. Like I don't know, we were all inspired by like all these different like bands and guitarists and like all the shredding and Jason Becker and all that stuff, you know, like and Rich and all those guys, you know. And like, you remember Rich, who kind of joined for a second? We were kind of doing that and all that.
Yeah, I do.
And that was super fun times and stuff. And yeah, so thanks, man. It's super cool that, you know, and yeah, I don't know.
I think Bill's got to take off possibly.
Oh, sure, dude.
Right.
Totally cool. We can.
Hey, Bill, thanks.
We'll put his headphones on.
Yeah.
Let's see what he says. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know.
He hears me anyway.
Hey, Bill.
Are you still chilling, Bill? Or you got to get rolling soon? Or are you good?
I'm just texting her to tell her that we're still working. I just had to cough, and I don't know. There's no mute.
There is a mute
thing.
Oh, on that, maybe not. You have an iPad, right?
I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. It's this little fucking screen. I mean, this is my phone, you guys.
Still got the clamshell.
Nice.
Clamshell.
It's probably better that way, dude. Keep yourself away from the fucking zeitgeist even more.
Seriously, dude.
But let us be able to get a hold of you still. So keep that thing.
Yeah, man. I was gonna say though, all the touring that we did together too. I mean, you know, there's so much history right there with me and Joel and Casey, and Dan was in the band playing guitar with us. And we had so many crazy times. And I think back on those times, our time in Europe that we went over there with Cryptopsy and Unmerciful.
That was so fun. Yeah.
Those guys it was such a fun, in that tour bus, all the fun that we had.
Yeah. It's pretty much going to be unmatched. Like I literally still talk about those stories to this day, like as the highlight of what I've done in my life. And now it's like oh, I do like, I work and do my own thing for money now, but like I used to be super cool, dude. I swear to God, I used to go out and like do all this cool stuff. I swear to God, I was super cool. Like it was crazy. We were in Europe. Like Bill smelled my ass one time when when he walked by my bunk and he said it was gross. Because I mean, one of those. But just things like that, like so many memories. There's like 1,000 memories that come to mind when I see your guys' faces.
Bill, do you have any favorite like shows, or what's your favorite places?
Wait, before you say that, real quick, what is up with Bill and getting injured so much when he's playing live? The first time I saw him get injured,
I broke one femur.
No, but before that,
you're
okay. Let me remind you. When we were in Vancouver at the Lamplighter, the stage was like 6 feet up, and you decided you were gonna swan dive on everybody.
Shit.
And then when you did that, you caught a shoulder like right in the eye.
No, it was the stage was too high to
I remember that
jump off of without hurting someone, so they put a chair on the side of the stage, and I went to step down off the stage. And I put my hand on someone's shoulder and stepped onto the chair. And as I went from the chair to the floor, someone came around and the back of their head hit me in the eye and knocked me out.
Yeah.
That's not a fucking injury, though. I got knocked out.
That was not an injury. We had a shiner for the rest of the tour, but it's not an injury.
Was that the bloodletting tour?
That's not an injury.
Yeah, it was bloodletting for sure.
Yeah, no, you were up and ready to go. You were up and ready to go after like.
Oh, I mean, I don't know what the fuck I was doing the rest of the night. I had a concussion, but
that was in Vancouver. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back to the positive, like what Casey was saying, like good, because we've done like with Deeds, we did a lot of like injury stories and shit. Like we want to do those, but we also want to do like the good. So what are like the best shows or whatever?
Best shows.
Almost all of them. Honestly, some
Montreal.
of the shows where we show up, and go, wow, this is a small little place with like 10 people. Ends up being some of the best fucking shows.
Totally.
Yeah. We did that time up in Canada. I think it was
Montreal.
after you guys had left. It was you guys had left the band, and it was Derek Boyer had joined the band again for a little while, and we were on tour with
the reason why, but I had my buttons pushed, and I said, okay, I'm not gonna sit on my fucking ass anymore as a band that's not headlining. We're gonna take this fucking tour. The rest of the tour is ours, and don't ever fuck with me on the road, because Decrepit Bird, we get along with every fucking band we tour with, and don't be pussy fucks and fuck with me, because I'll just turn it all around on you. And that's what we did, and it turned into like, holy shit. We had other bands on the tour going, why are you doing this all of a sudden?
It was so, what he's talking about is that he would get the crowd so riled up that every night they were getting on stage and literally piling on us, and I'm piling on Bill. And there was, Derek was like ready to take his bass off to help get people off of Bill. We were just trying to, that tour was the one of these, I'm not going to say the bands, I guess, but whatever, it doesn't matter. There was a couple of bands that were so damn good. They were so fucking good. And we were sandwiched in between these two bands. And it was like every night I was like, man, they're so good at what they're doing. They're getting the crowd to go crazy. And, we kind of just warred with each other. There was like wars after the shows. Like we were sharing a tour bus with these two other bands. And the wars were in good nature. There wasn't anything bad. It was just like, fucking with each other, doing crazy shit. And there was so much crazy shit that happened. But Bill was like, look, I'm going to take this out on stage and have the crowd go insane every night. And this particular tour, like in the middle of the tour, he did it. He got every night he would get so many people on stage. He was like under people. There was people on top of him. I was like getting knocked around and shit. It was one of the best.
Getting my ass beat by chicks bigger than me.
It's true. There's some video of it on YouTube. If you look around and the tour we're talking about, there's definitely videos of some of these shows. But anyway, just that's, to me, when it comes to playing live, I love that. I love a lot of people, they kind of don't want people on stage with them. They don't like the crowd to jump up on stage, but that's I love it when the crowd is going off and they're just knocking into you and fucking everybody's having a good old time, and, come up on stage and it's like I look at it because I was influenced by the old thrash metal days. You know, that was my stuff, was listening to stuff like Exodus and Megadeth and Metallica, and that's where I came from. And then I got into death metal later. But the emotion and the raw energy that those bands had in the early 80s is like how I want to bring it to the death metal world when we play live. You know, like what the thrash metal bands were doing in the early 80s is what death metal bands need to do these days, and worry less so much about impressing everybody with their, you know, with their shred. I mean, it's cool to do that, but I've gotten to the point where like I said, I want emotion to take over, and I want the crowd to feed off that emotion when we play live. And I'm not going to lie, when the crowd is just sitting there and they've got their arms folded and they're on their phones and they're talking to their girlfriends or whatever it is, and they're just not really into it, I don't play the same. And, you know, that's maybe my fault, because maybe I'm not entertaining them to the point where they want to put their phones down. So I try so hard to get the crowd to respond to us, because I tell you, we put on our best shows when the crowd goes fucking nuts, and they're giving us their energy. We give it right back to them. That's why I play this music. If it wasn't, and that's why I'm so sad right now with everything being shut down, with the shows being shut down and whatnot. Yeah. And I'm not going to talk too deep about it, but it does suck, you know, and I want to get back out there and fucking play. I'm a performer, and I'm a musician too, but I consider myself a performer, and I consider myself an entertainer. I like to put smiles on people's faces, and it's sad to be stuck in my house and not be able to put smiles on people's faces. You know, I want to get on stage and entertain people. And I think Bill feels the same way
with a new Decrepit Birth album.
That's where we're at for right now, is just keep pushing with writing the new music, and just hoping that we can get back on stage. You know,
you guys thought about doing like a live stream at all? Like, that'd be super
definitely
sick. I would love to watch that.
You can do it at my house if you want.
You know, it's weird because we're kind of in a weird situation right now where we kind of have two drummers. We have our main drummer, who is Samus Policelli, and you know, he's in Canada, and he's so far away, and it makes things hard to get together and do things as a band. But we also have Gabe Sieber, who's an amazing drummer, and he lives in Sacramento, and he's not too far away from me. And you know, the Black Sieves, man, he's an amazing drummer, and he's been helping us out for a long time now. You know, so he's kind of like become a part of the band, even though he's our live drummer. I mean, he really has become someone who I care about his opinions about our music, and I listen to him. And he's young, and he brings something fresh to the band, and he's showed me new music and stuff like that, and I really like the element that Gabe brings to the band. So, you know, we'll see what happens with the new record. Maybe we'll do something where Samus does half the record and Gabe does the other half, or we'll just see how it works out. Or Gabe does a few songs, and you know. But for right now, Samus is kind of busy with, you know, what he's got going on in Canada, so he's not really touring all that much. It's been a long time. He's just not touring at all, really. But not to say that he wouldn't. So we've talked about it, and it just might happen at some point, and he might get back out and come on the road with us, and you might see Samus play live again. So I'm hoping that he does.
What you could do is what you could get Gabe, which is one of my best friends. We have a nice house over here. You guys could do a live stream from fucking Club Trevhorn over here, and and just do something cool. Because I mean, there's bands out there like I mean, I'm getting more to like the progressive rock, you know, stuff. Yeah. There's bands that are doing it correctly. Not saying you're not, but there's bands that are they're selling tickets for live streams, and they're doing really cool things, and they're adding lights, and they're adding things in their live streams, and I've talked to them after, some of the bands, and they're coming, you know, they're making money off of this.
Well, wasn't Suicide Silence did something where they did like a tour?
Yeah, that was awesome. Right? Yeah. Exactly.
That's pretty smart.
It's perfect. Remember Dan Kenny texted me. I was at work, and he was like, "Dude, we're about to go on in Montreal, quote unquote Montreal, because they did like the world
it's only
world
available
tour,
a certain like radius."
Exactly. It's available. But they made it available to everyone, but they catered to every geographical spot in which they were.
And they
like
played
a virtual touring.
They played a new show every night.
Yeah, they played a new show, and they would like wear like their, you know, like have skits that were towards the geographical area. They would have like they actually did like it was like, damn, you guys are like that. He like hit me up with like he's all, I got you a code to get in a free ticket. I'm like,
Virtual
backstage pass.
bro.
oh, backstage. I got my virtual backstage. I was like one of the first virtual backstage
Wait.
COVID passes.
Did you have to show that virtual backstage to a virtual bouncer?
I literally was virtually driving in reality, and I was typing it in like, and I was working, going from site to site, and I was like, I typed it in and just watched it like on my little iPhone while like through my stereo, and I was like, damn, that's awesome, man. That's a cool idea. I mean, I think the crazy thing about COVID's really brought out a lot of the entrepreneurial ideas out of bands of what to do next.
Adaptation.
This could be another fucking 9 months, like straight up. This could be another 9 months.
It could be even. It could be even longer. Who knows?
9 months. Yeah, 9 months is like that's very tame. That's like a logical. Yeah.
We're actually booked for some shows in Europe. We have some shows booked for 2021, and we have a show that's booked for it's the California Death Fest in 2021, which they have it. It's supposed to happen, but if it doesn't happen, it's not going to happen. But from what I understand, they were kind of still pushing towards it, which would happen sometime in early summer 2021. Then we're supposed to go to Europe and do a headline tour, and in 2021. And from what I know, that's still supposed to happen. But I don't even know if we'll be able to travel to Europe as Americans at that point.
Exactly.
So, and the other thing for me is, I do have a family, and right now, considering what's going on with everybody on lockdown, kids aren't allowed to go to school right now. Like, I have to be at home with my family, and it makes life hard as far as like, even if we wanted to go until the schools open back up, I have to be here being, kind of the Mr. Mom kind of teacher guy. So, and I don't want to go too deep into that, but just all I'm saying is, man, like, I hope that people do the right thing. That's all I can say. Hope people do the right fucking thing. And I hope we can get back to playing music. Yeah, man. I hope it happens. And I hope it happens within the next year. That's all I can say.
Yeah. It seems like eventually it's going to happen. It's just a matter of the time,
Yeah.
Yep.
And
I mean,
we all miss
like
it.
everything else. You just start. You do what you control what you can control, and you do what you need to do.
I'm seeing the January, February stuff starting getting canceled. I'm like, here we go.
And plus, they're saying that things are getting worse all of a sudden, so it sucks. But I'll tell you one thing. It does give me time to sit in my little home studio and work on my craft. And work on my guitar tones and do all these different things that, my brain wouldn't have time to focus on normally. So I'm going to stick with that and make the best of it. I'm not depressed. I'm not sad or anything. So that's a good thing. And hopefully Bill's okay. Hopefully Bill's been doing okay.
There's enough canvas.
I surf so fucking much now because I'm
some crazy fires up here.
That
sucks.
Do you have
Bill's like, life's the same, dude. I gotta wear a mask.
No, I'm actually surfing. I'm not driving fucking these guys around all night.
Shit, dude. Right?
But yeah, man, that's my thing to people is take your time right now to hone your craft. Whether or not you're a musician or an artist,
something creative, dude.
Yeah, do something.
Just do something creative. It doesn't even have to be like just add something.
Or even just go out and exercise or whatever it is. Just find something to do with this time. And I think that's important.
If you have more time in your life, you should definitely use it.
Yeah. And most people have like been begging for this time their whole life. They've never had this time.
I'm excited for everybody.
Now they have
output.
This. Yeah, exactly.
Totally. All right. So
Joseph's probably got some questions.
Oh, you need some questions?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a couple people that want to know, like, from thanks for everybody for asking questions on the Facebook and Instagrams. We follow those questions.
Totally.
Seems like I've been checking them. A lot of them are getting answered as we go. But some people want to know, like, they kind of want to compare like the early days to the later days, not in terms of your music output, but just like the scene and like how you've seen maybe just we're California death metal or Cali death. So like, but American death metal scene or whatever, like have you seen changes? Obviously, there's multiple generations of fans that are becoming fans of the band, and I'm someone from a later generation, and then there's a whole new kids after me, and yeah, I guess to make it a question, it's just like, how have you seen the scene change? How have you seen the scene change? And what are maybe some stuff from the past you'd like to see brought back, or maybe you like new developments, that's kind of stuff.
Bill, what do you got?
It's definitely changed things. That's just the way it is. There's no getting around it. I mean, you gotta accept it. Things change. It is what it is. There's a lot of new bands, a lot of new fans. The looks changed. I'm not going to comment on that. I mean, I'm not one to talk. That's all I got.
I think there's a lot of stuff out there. There's an abundance of good musicians out there, and things that at one time people would flip out over is becoming standard, nowadays. And it's really hard to come out with something that sets you apart from just being what everybody else is doing. And there's some amazing bands, and there's some younger bands that I know of that are influenced from us, just like we were influenced from, Deicide and Cannibal Corpse. And there's some of these younger bands that come up to me at a show, or that will even just write me on my Facebook, send me a message and be like, I'm 20 years old, and I've been getting into death metal the last few years, and I'm a fan of you guys, and you're one of my favorite guitar players. And what did you do? What did you do to start? How did you do this? And, all I can say is just, if you want to do something different than everybody else that's going to stand out, just play what makes you happy, and play what's in your heart. Like I've said that before. And, the younger bands that are out today, I think there's a lot of competition, too much competition, in my opinion. I think there's too many bands trying to, they get on the YouTube wars, and there's a lot of like, are they playing it? Is it really them playing? I was kind of touching on that stuff earlier. Yeah. It's like kind of plagued the scene slightly, with this tech death thing. And I'm not saying some of the bands that I'm not saying those bands suck, because there's some really impressive shit that's coming out, but it gets hard to love it all, like, but then you get these bands, like a band like, I thought Surruption was just amazing. And I know a lot of people talk about Surruption, but they're just so catchy and groovy. And yeah, they are tech, but it's not so tech that it's like, what the fuck are they doing? They're not relying on the technicality. They're relying on just entertaining people with their crushing heavy riffs. And that's what I really like Surruption a lot. There's, I mean, I think, and this is not a new band, but I think like what Cattle Decapitation is doing these days is they're kind of really like setting a new standard for death metal. And they're kind of like the leaders right now, in my opinion, of what is going on. And they're a California band, and they are fucking amazing,
and
they're
Dave's a band sick drummer.
He's so, I mean, we've all been a fan of Dave.
We love
for
Dave.
years.
For years.
We
So
love
many
Dave.
years. Yeah.
We love that guy.
Dave made that band.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
he's an amazing guy. Anyways, continue, Matt. I love
it. Yeah, just want to say that I think that they really are setting a standard of what modern death metal should be. And it's not just death metal, because they're kind of like experimental. They do so many different things. And there's some other bands out there that are kind of like that too. But man, I just really think that Cattle is really they're kind of setting the bar right now for modern death metal. And those guys are just, I've toured with them a few times, and I hope we get to tour with them again. They're always so much fun. I love Cattle Decapitation, love hanging out with those guys, and they're just amazing right now. They're on fire. Their last album they just came out with, I think they just came out at the beginning of the year. Fuck it. It fucking smokes. It's fucking great. I like it a lot. I think it's good. So
I made a list of California death metal bands to start the show, and they were under my subcategory of band that came out on top, because they kind of just every other band, you guys have had like your trials and tribulations, and Decrepit could have been, but Cattle somehow just fucking rode that wave up to where they are now, and did it.
It was when Dave joined the band, I noticed, because let me just say this. I
Exactly.
remember, I got a quick little story about them. I remember I was on tour, and I don't remember what tour we were doing, but our tours met up. It was Cattle Decapitation, and then our tour, whatever tour it was, met up, and then we played at like Harpo's or something like that.
Harpo's, yep.
Yeah,
Son of Aurelius, yeah.
Yeah, the one that so you remember.
Yeah.
So they played, and I mean, already that venue it's a tough one to fill in. It's just had a weird sound, and it was just a weird one. But there just wasn't that many people watching them. People weren't, and they were playing amazing, but they just hadn't. I mean, they've been around for a while, but then we went on tour with them maybe a couple years later, and it was just like they put out, you know, whatever album it was, Monolith, or I don't know, which maybe the one before that, but they just fucking everything changed. Everything changed. People were flipping out. The crowd knew all the lyrics to every single part, and I was like, so cool to watch them go. Where, you know, they were telling me, oh man, before on the tour that we were talking about, where we played with them at Harpo's, they were like, man, this tour sucked. I don't know, it just hasn't been that good. And you know, talking with Travis and stuff like that, he's just like, you know, that's the thing too, and he just says the same thing that I just said, is you got to stick to it, man, because there's going to be those tours. There's going to be those tours that fucking suck. There's going to be the shows that fucking suck. It's going to happen, you know. It's going to happen to every band. We've played with so many bands where, you know, you'll even talk to a band like Whitechapel where, you know, they play and every night you're like, damn, they're just insane. And it's just impressive, but they'll get off stage and they'll tell you, man, we suck tonight. And then you're just like, what? You know, the crowd went nuts, but they'll tell you why, and they'll have the reasons. And for them, it's legitimate. And, you know, I just think that you got to just keep pushing. You just got to keep pushing with, even if it's shitty, even if, you know, the money is not enough. If you can survive that, eventually it'll start getting good. Because, you know, I'm going to talk really quick about the guarantees that we have made and the amount of money that we have made. In the beginning of touring, you guys will remember some of those tours. I mean, we were getting paid $50, $100 a night to play, you know, and that's just, your gas money was more than that, you know, and you didn't sell any shirts, you're fucked, you know. And I know you guys know what it's like to be in that position where you're on tour and your nightly pay is just barely enough to afford gas. You're having to fork your own money over just to get to the next town.
We didn't even have money for a hotel at the end of that tour. We were sleeping in trees and fucking sleeping.
You're sleeping in the van, sleeping over at people's houses, whatever you can do. You that's called fucking grinding. And all the bands have been through it. All the big bands that you like, all the, you know, whatever band, Cannibal Corpse, Gojira, all those bands have been through the grind. And, you know, as big as they are, they'll all tell you that they're like, you know what, I just loved fucking getting on stage and I didn't care. And I know the money sucked, but I didn't care because I liked getting on stage and I liked entertaining people. And that's kind of, for me, like, that's why we have been able to push along to the point where, I mean, now we get paid, we can actually afford to get a hotel room. You know, we can actually afford for the night to eat well, you know, or whatever it is, and pay. Everybody gets money in their pocket, you know. And if we're wise with our money on tour, we might even come home with some money, you know. And I just remember when we first started this, how hard it was. And I would imagine, like, God, what would it be like to come home from a tour and have some fucking money in my pockets, you know? And it took so many tours and so many fucking shows before it actually started to get offers where they're like, okay, yeah, this is some good money to go out and do what I love to do. And I'm not saying that we're some highly, you know, we don't get paid that much, but it's nowadays when we go out and tour, I'm glad that we're able to do it and feel somewhat comfortable. And, you know, as long as we don't get too comfortable, because the minute you get too comfortable, then it's just like, you know what I mean? Then you're just too cush and you're rock stars, and we'll never be like that. But yeah, man, I just want to let all the young bands know, you know, stick to your guns, fight through all the shit that you have to deal with money and band members. Sometimes certain band members will think that they're worth more than everybody else, and you just have to address that.
Worth
shit,
more,
you know?
I'm worth more, dude.
I've been through that, man. It's
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But it's just all the different things. And touring is fucking hard, and I know the ones out there that tour know what I'm talking about.
Pretty much like what I've noticed with a lot of musicians and stuff is that the people that think they're the shit and like they're comfortable at where they are usually don't do very well after that moment. People that think they could always do better and that they have more to achieve and they could do more and they're learning from things, those are the people that do or put out the best music, at least, you know, like those are the people that push the boundary. They're like, I can't. They walk off stage after a perfect show. You're like, that was amazing, and they're like, you know, like I messed this note. No, it's like those are the people that will always be better because those people
are striving to get
they
better.
have a reason to keep going and try and perfect it, but they never will.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's some bands out there, you know, some of the older guys that I've toured with that, you know, they're still amazing, but you know, some of the attitudes that you see sometimes, and it's just like, you know, I'm not saying any names or anything like that. There's also some really good attitudes with the older guys too, but I've been fortunate enough to tour with some of the older guys, and sometimes you see what it's like when someone gets that rock star attitude, and you're like, come on, you're not even going to do what everybody else is doing. Like, what, you're better than everybody, you know, that shit sucks. Yeah. And it's cool to see an older band where, you know, everybody's still pitching in and they're still hungry. They still want to entertain people and they still want to, you know, bring the fire and shit. And,
that's definitely, you know, the word is hungry. That's
hungry.
The word.
Stay hungry, man.
Yeah.
I feel like we're still hungry, man. We still got.
No, I know. I can see it, man. I can see it.
We still got a lot of shit to come. I promise.
I literally like me and you nerd out on guitar stuff all the time, and you are hungry to find that tone. And
I am.
Fucking, it makes me like so excited. Like I feel like I'm the only one that like wants to find that tone. Like I want to get that right tone. Blah blah. You're like, you come over and like we you know, nerd out on fucking gear and stuff, and it's so much fun to just like. What's this versus that? And this, like trying to get that right. Like it's exciting. It's like a hobby. It's a hobby to get that right. Just the sound is a hobby. Like not even the songwriting. Like the sound. Like the sound.
It's its own thing all by itself. Yeah. Being a gear nerd is like a whole life in itself, other than being a musician. So like the whole like collecting amps. You can see it behind me. I've got a bunch of amps. I'm all about like tube guitar amps. You know how I am, Joel. I love tube guitar amps, and I'm not trying to knock any of the Axe effects or any of the shit that people use on. Very common these days to see a death metal band and people will have an Axe effects, and they're great. And I know you have one. I know you love it, and it sounds great. But I'm just kind of, that's where I'm like the old curmudgeon a little bit still, and I just love my. I love it. I love it
so much. I love hearing your opinions on it, and I want like the stack of tube amps behind me, but I'm just kind of like trying to minimalize. But no, you're doing what I want to do. Basically, is what I'm saying.
You know, I just think it's like it's a guitar. It's an art to get that guitar tone, to get that right, beautiful guitar tone. And to be honest with you, I was just thinking about this. As much as I love all 4 of my albums, I still think that I have not knocked it out of the park with my guitar tone just yet. I feel like the perfect guitar tone, and it also guitar tone. I'm just saying this because I'm a guitar player. It doesn't come solely from your amps. It comes also from, you know, the way you play and the attack, the picking attack. That has a lot to do with that. So that's something that's important to think about when you're a guitar player searching for the right tone. So it's not just your amps; it's also the way you play. That's very
also
important.
Knowing me and you, we probably never will get our guitar tone. Probably never will.
Hell no.
Well, I was just going to say, you guys are going in loops because it's the same thing. It's just like chasing the perfect set. You're going to chase the perfect tone. It's never going to be there. Frank Zappa would constantly guitar solo with the one goal of finding the perfect note, but he never did, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And
that's what kept him amazing.
80 albums or whatever before he died.
See, that's kind of, you know, and that's something for me as a musician. Like, I'm not saying that we're influenced by those older guys directly, you know, but when you take some of these older guys like a Frank Zappa or, you know, Al Di Meola or even an Eric Clapton or a Jimi Hendrix, and the way that they looked at their music and the way that they're innovators, you know, they started something that no one else had done. They did things that no one else was doing. It's like, you've got to step back from what you're doing sometimes and think, well, you know, what can I bring that's so fresh that nobody else is doing, you know? And that's why, like, you know, on Polarity, you know, I would do things like, you know, we added like synth bass onto, you know, a song, and we had blast beats where there was like no guitars and there'd be synth parts, you know, and blast beats.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm just like, and
Taking
when I
risks.
was, and you know, it's cool because Casey helped me write some of these notes, and then I would take his notes and I would kind of compose it from there and kind of turn it into something else, but it would still be his skeleton, his ideas. And that's what was really fun about working on Polarity. And I don't know, it's just another thing that was cool about working with Casey. And it's not that I don't see with like Samus and the last album. Samus is also a big time composer. He's really into composing music, and he's a great guitar player. And he helped me like come up with the structures for the songs on Axis Mundi a lot. So what I would do is on Axis Mundi is I would write like a skeleton of the song, and I'd record my parts, and I'd send him the click tracks and the drum machine stuff and everything. And he would take it and kind of be like, okay, you know, I don't know about your structure, but you got some cool stuff here and there. And he would totally transform the song, send it back to me, and we would just keep trading back and forth like that on Axis Mundi. And I think it was really fun, you know, because it's just interesting to see the different way that I've worked with other musicians in the band as far as the writing has gone for Decrepit Birth, you know, and it's all there for people to hear on our albums, you know, all the different styles, and it's just not one style. And I think that's why, I think to me, that's what sets Decrepit Birth maybe apart from other bands, is that we do stuff that at times that it's just where we throw out all the rules and we don't care. You know, I don't care what's cool because it's brutal. I don't care because if this part's not slamming or whatever. I'm just going to do this total musical experimentation, and it is what it is, but it's usually going to be heavy. It's always going to be like intense, you know? So that's kind of what I think sets Decrepit Birth apart, is our ability to experiment with other types of music at times and stuff, and do things like that.
Yeah, I was gonna kind of say too. You know, like when we were doing the Deeds episode last week or a couple weeks ago, and they were talking about like this, you know, 6 days a week jamming, you know, like you know, all these hours a night, and I was just like, dude, like I've told so many students and stuff, I'm like, dude, if you want to be in a band and you're gonna tour, you gotta jam like 5 nights, 6 nights a week, 3 or 4 hours. We'd play the whole set and then be like, all right, let's play it again.
Play it again. Twice, like, twice.
We played the whole set twice, every time, every practice, every night, at least 5 days a week. It was like a
I felt bad for you because I was just sitting there strumming the bass, and you're like,
I suffered a lot. I suffered a lot. I know, it was terrible.
Yeah, we put Casey through some intense
it was fun
drills of drumming,
but it was fun. I would just get like drenched in sweat, and then I would just take a shower. And then,
you did.
Every time. And then
it was really cool afterwards. Those days.
How were those?
I miss those days a lot. I miss those days.
Casey, how were those double duty tours for you? Were they hard, or, you know, like
the double?
He's like, no, they were super easy.
Well, you know what I mean. I'm saying, like, was it like to the point where you're like, fuck, I don't know if I could do it, or you're like, oh, I got this, you know?
Yeah, no, it was super fun. Like doing double duty, like doing like an Odious set and then Decrepit afterwards, you know, like
So do you guys remember if it was staggered like that?
Bloodletting was like that.
Yeah, it was staggered like that. It was Odious Decrepit, right? Wasn't it?
No, I know. So was Carnivorous would open, then would Odious play.
Maybe
and
not.
Severed and Decrepit, I think, were switching nights. Like
on that loop, we went out on like a 3-day or 4-day run.
Those couple of mini tours that we did, that was so much fun. So much fun.
Yeah, it was rad. For me though, I felt that like once I started doing like Decrepit only, that like I was putting more into it with that set, and we were also doing longer sets, you know, at that point. So like it was kind of like more for me, like that early stuff was kind of like, well, we had like 4 or 5 songs and Time Begins stuff, and then we had like one new one or something like that. I mean, this is like, you know, we're talking like, I mean, I joined in 2004,
right?
In the, you know, the fall, and so, you know, it's like after that, like, you know, we had a few songs and this and that. But then like once we had like an hour set or whatever, it was like I wanted to put everything into Decrepit, you know, and really like do like full like my full effort into Decrepit, you know.
Yeah.
And like each set I was doing, and I was like really into Odious like on the side, and then that kind of, you know, we did our thing with Cryptic Implosion or whatever. But I was like super into Decrepit. I basically was completely devoted to it, like 100%, you know.
I remember, and thank you for that. You know,
Well, it was
I have to
fun.
say,
It was so much fun, you know.
all the musicians that we've worked with, you know, I have to thank all of the musicians, every single one who's ever been a part of this band, Joel, Dan, and just so many. There's been a lot of people who have come in and helped us on tour.
I did vocals in the rehearsal studio a couple times.
Thank you, Anthony.
We're lucky to have worked with a lot of amazing musicians, so I'm stoked on that, man. I'm stoked, and I try to stay cool with everybody that's been in the band, you know, as much as we can be, you know. So I'm glad that we still are friends, man. It's cool.
And Casey also wrote the song Dimensions Intertwine, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Which is one of the best Decrepit songs.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Yeah, that was fun. You know.
Yeah, we that one was so hard. Some of the parts on it, I just remember having such a hard time recording it because he was the one who wrote all that song, and I took it. It was one of those things where he wrote the song, the skeleton of the song, and I took it and maybe changed like I'd say 5% of it, and so the rest of it is still him. But you know, and then I did come up with the guitar solo for it. But just recording those parts because it was so different than my style, it was fucking hard to record that one, and I was like, shit, man, I don't know if it's gonna come out that well. But listening back to it after all these years, yeah, it's one of my favorite songs that the band's recorded for sure. It's an amazing song. It's a good one.
That was a fun one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Can I also ask like a nerdy question? Like on ATB, like I know Derek wrote some of the material and you guys co-wrote a lot, but are there songs that are like specific Derek songs? And
Infestation?
Definitely.
This is stuff I like.
There's two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Shroud of Impurity and the Infestation?
That's them.
Yeah.
Everybody knows
Derek
that.
songs.
I didn't know that.
The Derek songs.
You just needed confirmation.
There it is.
They he came in there. I told you we had a house in a place called Watsonville, and it was this tiny little small little house, and Derek was sleeping on the couch, and it was just a tiny little house, and then we had Tim come up, and he was writing these songs. Derek was writing those songs, and I hadn't heard them, and then all of a sudden he just busted the Infestation on me, and I was like, holy shit, it's a little different than my style, but this has to be on the record. So you know, he did that one, and then Shroud of Impurity was like, it was kind of a 50-50 thing. It's mostly his song, but I would say, you know, I definitely added a lot into Shroud of Impurity too.
What
so
are
that
the
was
lyrics
kind of both.
About on that bill on Shroud of Impurity?
Shroud of Impurity.
Derek wrote those lyrics, right? Or
No,
did you guys?
No, I wrote it.
Oh, okay.
Man, I'm burnt. I can't even remember all the lyrics right now. I'm trying to stay awake. It's just about, you know, the rest, like the whole album is a progress of like man's just fucking warping to its end. And how's the ending? The ending is so sick. But yeah, I don't know. It's just mankind failing, you know, basically, you know, fucking the planet up and dying and
desecrated creation. All it was has come to pass. Yeah, that's got some serious killer.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
Yeah,
I'd have to read it again because that album's far enough back. It's the whole album's a concept as well, but it wasn't in sequence. It was like we put them where we felt the song sounded better in an order rather than go through as a sequence, you know.
Yeah.
And what about the lyrics of Infestation?
That was like Derek wrote maybe a third of them, and then we just struggled trying to think of like, God damn, you know, where do we go with this? And it was like he also came up with some of the lyrics. Matt and Derek worked on the lyrics for, if I remember right, Condemned, and trading off riffs, the way you guys wrote it. And then, you know, then I also came up with parts of the lyrics for Condemned. But I'm trying to think how that worked. Was because God, I'd have to read the album again and think the order. I think Infestation was a continuation of After Condemned, if I remember right, which spawned off of Matt's starting the lyrics with the whole new race of carbon, you know.
Formed a race of carbon to crush the souls of man. Right.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember writing that. Yeah. So that song right there was kind of like just about a race of like drone human beings that were made just like us.
Like, fuck you guys, you know,
right?
Or something like that, and just went, fuck you guys. Here's this to take over you guys. Something like that.
Right. Something along those lines. Our lyrics have always kind of been up to, like how you were saying earlier with that kid. They're kind of like interpretation. Like, how do you want to interpret, you know, like, how do you want to interpret our weird esoteric lyrics that sometimes might not even make sense. They do though. They do make sense. It's just that, how do you want to take them, you know? And we kind of have those kind of weird lyrics like that. We're out there like that, especially Bill.
But if I remember right now, now that I'm thinking back on it, Shroud comes before Infestation, and they're kind of a continuance of each other, with Derek's part of the concept on that album. But again, we didn't put them in order. They're wrong order. But whatever. They're all just good songs, you know.
The whole thing with End Time Begins was a very
killed it.
It was all about the apocalyptic theme. It was very apocalypse. It was kind of like end times, end time begins, the ending of time. It was kind of like had that biblical apocalyptic feel. So all the songs kind of have that sort of kind of vibe to it. And that's, even though every song might not necessarily be that, End Time Begins in a whole kind of has an apocalyptic feel to it. Yeah. And that's kind of what
that was the concept. So
totally.
And so also, nobody had ever like played through any of the songs in their entirety until Casey joined. Is that true? Like, Tim's still learning them when he's recording them. So Casey was the first drummer to like realize the potential of them as a live performance, and even in rehearsals and shit.
I remember the first video. It might have been what was the first song that you recorded and put up on MySpace?
I think it was Prelude.
Prelude and Of Genocide.
Yeah, I drove Casey to that. I was like, I drove Casey up to the mountains. We said, I'll do him for Decrepit. He was like completely. I was like, damn, man, I don't know if you're gonna be able to do it. You like went there and just nailed it.
Dude, I remember they were in a place. They were playing in like a really small room, and me and Dan and I had gone down there, and it was so small that we had to take turns to go inside and experience.
Yeah.
It's like one person at a time.
You guys played your whole set. You guys played your whole set for me. Like, I was standing behind.
We also did Infestation.
Yeah. And like, you guys played the whole pretty much all of End Time Begins, like all the way through it with me and my friend like Adam back in the day. We stood behind you, had your drum test going, and we were just like this. We were just like this. and you guys played like and you literally played like all of End Time Begins, like all strings and vocals. Like,
back when we were fresh on it.
Yeah. And I was like sitting there just going like, I remember walking. I remember I walked out of the place. My friend thought I was on mushrooms when I walked out. He's all, my pupils were huge. I was walking out like, oh my god, geez. Yeah, he was like, it was probably the most insane like death metal experience I've ever had in my life. It was like, because I'd been like super into that album, obviously, and you guys just played it for me while all facing me. You guys were all just sitting there just going like Bill's all yelling at me and shit. Yeah. And I was just like, what the? I walked out of there like, Jesus Christ, I'm on acid now. I don't know what's going on.
You're on Decrepit.
That was rad. That's fucking awesome.
Cocktail of happy juices.
Yeah, exactly.
Sick. Yeah, those songs are fucking hard to play. I mean, those End Time Begins. So some of them aren't like the Derek songs aren't quite as hard. But it's
4/4,
yeah, exactly. Some of those songs though are just like we were talking about, Rebirth of Consciousness. That song is so fucking incredibly hard to play.
We never tackled that.
Yeah, we never tackled that. I mean, maybe I could do it these days. We did Concepting. That was a hard one too.
Oh yeah, that was back in the day. I remember that. I
did Thought.
Thought Beyond Infinity.
Yeah,
that was a hard one too. Very hard.
Concepting was the one that I remember you guys played it back in the day when we were on the early tours and stuff, and I was like,
didn't we try Shroud? Didn't we play Shroud?
We might have played fucked around with it.
We added that like ending riff to like our set.
Yeah. Even to this day, we still, I mean, even that song like is hard to play to this day.
Crazy, yeah.
We like with Gabe, we were gonna play it on our last tour, and you know, we practiced it a lot. And not to say that we couldn't have done it live, but we never got to the point where I was like, okay, we're gonna crush the song live. Those songs are fucking hard. Their Anti Begin songs are hard. And we played was it the Chicago some Central Illinois Fest recently in the last that one. Yeah. So we played that, and the guy who puts that on asked us to play the whole And Time Begins set. You know, he wanted us to play the whole thing.
Right.
And I was like, I told him, I'm like, it's not that I don't want to. It's just that, fuck, man, it's really hard to play. And we didn't have very much time from when we got the offer to when we were going to play the fest. So I told him, I mean, I really wanted to, and I'm sure it would have been a killer thing if we could have done it. But man, we didn't have the time to learn it. But who knows? Maybe, I'm getting older, but maybe if I get the time, we just sit down and learn how to play one of these albums all the way through, you know, and just really sit there. And because all of the albums are hard to play all the way through. I mean, any of them, they're hard to play all the way through. But I would love to do that. I would love to do that with Diminishing, to be honest with you, to play that album,
me too.
You know, top to back, you know, live would be, I'd love to do that. So who knows? We'll see.
That was a fun album to do.
I know, man.
I love that one.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Gathering of Imagination still, like, I remember when we were like, you know, doing the Black Dahlia tour. I literally like, I got to do the easy like background to your and that part, like there was some times there's probably like 9 times that I kind of maybe my eyes got watery. I was like, because it brings up emotion that like
that's what it's meant to do.
It totally hits me every time. That's like my favorite, like that's my favorite Decrepit like epic, like I'm like, oh my god, like that's like it just like I would have to play it, just be like, all right, don't watch the guitar, just chill, just be on your own.
That's what, you know, when a piece of music, and I'm not saying just my piece, any piece of music can bring up emotions that you didn't expect. It's just, to me, that says something, that they're saying
that
something
riff
with their
riff literally brings up memories in my past that I've thought about. It's like kind of like an epic, like you think about like a conquering kind of like a attitude towards something. It literally has brought up like thoughts and you know, epic like conquering like good times in my life where I'm like,
oh yeah,
yes,
we conquered some fucking great times. And I wanted to bring something up really quick, just a quick tour memory, because I saw you post about it the other day on Facebook, and I have to bring it up because it's too funny. It was we were on tour Summer Slaughter 09, and I think it was Suffocation and Necrophagus, right?
Oh,
you know what I'm going to talk about. So here we are, you know, we're watching Muhammad from Necrophagus just about to step on stage. They're headlining the show, and Guy from Suffocation, who was the other guitar player for Suffocation at the time, was standing there just fucking hanging out with us, drinking some beers, whatever it was. We're all hanging out. we're hanging out with Muhammad, and literally just about to go on. And Guy just fucking rolls up to Muhammad, and he looks at him, and he's like, you know something? Hey, dude, you know something? This guy right here, he points to me. He's like, this guy right here, fucking way better than you. So much better. He writes, the music he writes is so much better than you. And we're like looking at him like, dude, shut up. Like,
I was crying.
He was just getting in his head is all. He was just getting in his head. Just fucking with him. And it wasn't anything more than that. He didn't probably even mean any of that. It was just the way, you know, that's just the way people fuck around on tour.
Muhammad literally had his like wireless. He's going, and the whole crowd was going, brah, like when he would like sound check. And then the guy would come over just like, he's all, dude, like Matt's like way sicker than you though. Like, just felt like
well, you know, once I realized what he was doing, I was laughing because
he was totally
know how he
fucking with
was.
Funny.
But anyway, there's so many.
Muhammad was like pissed. He was like, they're going like he was like getting mad.
I was gonna ask, how did Muhammad play that night? Was he like extra aggressive?
Amazing. No, he's amazing. He's always amazing.
Yeah. Amazing.
Always amazing.
Yeah, dude, that guy and touring with Necrophagist, I just want to say it too. They were fuck, man. At that time, so inspirational to us, and man, that tour was fucking sick. Watching them play every night.
That was the best tour I've ever been to. You guys, Dying Fetus, fucking Suffocation, and Necrophagist.
Necrophagist.
Yeah.
That was a fucking great tour.
Like
I missed those
so
bands.
fucking rad. Yeah.
Wow.
What was it? Romaine.
Muhammad was like, Romaine from Disavowed. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He was on the drums for Necro.
I remember one time, Muhammad. Speaking of, I know the guy was fucking with Muhammad, but one time Muhammad was fucking with us, where it was Las Vegas at the House of Blues, and Muhammad, we're sitting there sound checking, and Muhammad comes out with a fucking video camera. And, he, while I'm sound checking, he walks on stage and he's videotaping me and Dan. And he's all go.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And I'm all, what are you doing? He's all, I'm trying to get ideas for the new album.
Yeah. He's like, let's see your best sweep arpeggio, man.
Yeah, he's just Muhammad with a video camera going like, dude, play, go. I'm like, no, I'm not playing at all. Like, get the fuck out of here. Can you
maybe he was on beer.
Oh no,
he was on beer.
He was on like he was a sweetheart on that tour, and he basically was like. He was honestly like, I think he was honestly filming us because he was like stoked on us. I think he was.
He treated us very nicely on that tour.
Very nicely. You know? Yeah.
He did. You know, some of these people. There was another tour too that it was after you guys had left. We toured with 6 Feet Under, and I know there's a lot of people talk a lot of shit on Chris. On Chris Barnes, and I just have to say, man. Despite what you might have heard and how his singing and how his vocals are on the new 6 Feet Under album or whatever it is, however you feel about them, that guy treated us so fucking good on that tour. Like he came right out.
He's the singer of your band. I mean, obviously he would.
He looks at Bill. He's like, he must be getting inspiration from me. But no,
Bill, whatever.
I'm going to come right down there and fucking beat your
right down there.
So I don't know. Sometimes you hear shit, you hear all these
Shout out to Jeff Hugo real quick for mentioning 6 Feet Under. Shout out to Jeff.
Oh yeah, man.
I love Jeff. Jeff is the man, dude.
Yeah, Jeff.
Those guys were really fun to tour with too, and
bass player.
Yeah, man.
Was he? Yeah, he was on stage.
Osmium, remember Osmium, the old Pound?
Yeah, I remember Osmium, dude.
That's his old band.
Hardcore headbanging the whole time, dude.
Yeah, totally.
How do you pronounce his last name? Hugel?
I said it. I might have said it wrong. I'm sorry.
No, I wasn't sure. I was just.
No, he knows that I call him the Vulture, so he's the.
That's how I read it.
Shit, I forgot.
He's an amazing fucking bass player.
He's amazing,
and he's amazing.
That guy rules, dude.
He posts
he's
pictures
amazing,
of meat
dude.
all the time, and it makes me salivate.
I love that guy.
We toured with Rings of Saturn, like when they were still like just kind of breaking, and he was their bass player at that point in time.
Oh, really?
And,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, a lot of people don't know that he actually played in Rings of Saturn for a while.
Oh, wow.
And he made them really fucking. I thought with Jeff, they were sick. So
yeah,
that's awesome.
That was sick.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
I met Jeff at that Severed show that I saw you at, Anthony.
Oh, really?
He was there. I think he gave me a demo of his shit back then. Yeah.
That's super cool that you're at that show, dude. That's super sick, dude.
Dude.
Matt,
yes.
What are your favorite guitarists? Like, what if you had to take like 5 to 10 your favorite guitarists?
No, let's go top 4. Do top 4.
All right, yeah, Joel's yeah.
It's so hard because
I know. I'll make it hard on you. It's not gonna.
It's like 25 guitarists right now.
25. I'll say. Let me see here.
Matt's top 4. Okay, we'll go
top 4.
I mean, let's
wins.
just say just because of what just happened recently.
Eddie Van
Halen. Eddie Van Halen. I'm gonna
put
him.
You can't deny,
dude. Hey, Matt. Can you? Real quick, Matt? You showed me the hand exercise. That's Eddie Van Halen.
I can't do it without putting my. That's these two down, these two down, these two down.
That's Eddie Van Halen, right? That's Eddie Van Halen.
He can do that apparently really fast. Like he'd sit there.
Yeah. I still do that to this day. You showed me that. I sit like anytime I'm like sitting there just like
Yeah,
I can't do it.
I haven't done it for a long time. It's easier when you can put your hand down on something. But yeah, it's these two, those two. Anyway, but yeah, so Eddie Van Halen, I'm just gonna say it number one right now. I mean it changes from time to time, but and number two, I'm gonna have to put Chuck Schuldiner in there at number two.
Yeah.
Because Chuck means so much,
Respect.
and that is why really a lot
That's
of
why you are. Yeah, exactly.
So Chuck will be number two. At number three, I'm gonna have to say Yngwie Malmsteen. And I know a lot of people probably don't get that, and he's kind of he's just all about the shred. But since I was a very young lad, since I was 12 years old, I went and saw him as a young boy, and he impressed me so much. And there's been a lot of times where I'm on stage and I want to pretend that I'm Yngwie Malmsteen, but I know I'm not. So
he's amazing.
So
confidence.
Okay,
the best confidence.
Yeah, Yngwie's up there. Number three. Number four.
Can I try to guess it? Can I try to guess it?
You could guess it, but I don't think you'll get it. But go ahead, guess.
I don't think. I was gonna say it was probably Marty Friedman.
No,
that's what
I mean. He's up there, and I love Marty Friedman because that album, Rust in Peace, that he played on for Megadeth was probably my favorite album of all time. But
second guess is George Lynch. George Lynch.
Again, I love him, but no, I'm gonna
David Lynch.
Two people in one. Two people in one. It's Adrian Smith and Dave Murray from Iron Maiden.
Fucking hell.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm so down.
Down. Since I was a young lad too, I mean, before I even played guitar, I listened to Iron Maiden so much, and
that's such a good.
I mean,
were you a strapping young lad?
I was maybe.
Speaking of which, I love Devin Townsend. It's the coolest guy ever.
Yeah. Dude, Samus, our drummer, got to play on his his record.
So
I know.
I'm so happy for him.
So
I got to hang out with him at NAMM, and he's like basically like cuddled me up and was like he just hung out for like.
Didn't I see a picture of that?
Yeah. He was the sweetest guy ever.
Yeah.
So nice.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it when musicians are cool, down to earth people.
He's like the most like.
Devin Townsend.
I couldn't believe like how he wanted to like go out on the town with us. He was like,
did he get the same strain of what Namthrax? What do you guys call it?
I got Namthrax.
Did he get the same strain?
I don't know. Yeah, he probably did.
You guys look kind of close in that picture, dude.
No, you get every time
Namthrax.
You get sick every time you fucking go. It's terrible.
Because everybody's high-fiving and shit, and then
no, everyone's touching guitars and shaking hands, and
talk about getting sick all the time. What about getting sick on tour? I'm sure.
Hey, I did that. I was there. Remember me?
Oh man, yes.
Okay.
I've been sick on for his life before.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, that shit is the worst.
I don't want to talk about that.
Sick.
I want to ask you, Matt, because you're my homie. I want to say, you also liked awesome like music, like black metal and stuff, like crazy stuff. Like, how did that influence you as well?
Well, Dimmy.
What bands? Well, of course. But I mean, like
I mean, look, I was really into, especially at that period in time, like around 2007, 2008. I was really into Dissection a lot. The band Dissection, the Storm of the Lights Bane, that record. I just like listened to it all the time, and I was like, it was something fresh and different than what I was used to doing with the California death metal thing, and I was starting to just be like, what other types of music are out there? And I knew about some of these black metal records and stuff like that, and even stuff that's not necessarily black metal, but that's more European style stuff, like At the Gates, or stuff like I love like Winter Sun. Stuff like that, that's just, it's not even necessarily black metal, but just maybe more European style that has that more melody and stuff like that. So, because I wouldn't call myself like a big time black metal fan. I mean, I think it's cool, but it's not necessarily my favorite thing. And there's some really amazing black metal musicians, and there's some great albums that some of those bands have put out, but especially though, I got to say that Storm of the Lights Bane, that album is just really cool. But it's almost like a Black and Death. It's like not quite black metal. It's kind of got both.
Totally. Like that first song on like Puritanical, whatever it is, like that, like, you know, that first demu song is really
yeah.
super
That whole
with
that
the really
whole album
sexy
is fucking
cover.
sick.
yeah.
That I mean,
Isn't
you
it
know,
like a woman's body with all her limbs chopped
What's that
off,
song called? That first
wrapped in
song?
barbed wire?
I'm
The
looking it
fucking
up.
song is so good.
can't think of
dude.
what it's called
It's
right
my
now, but I
favorite
know.
black metal song.
One thing about the Storm of the Lights bane that's like very
Yeah.
underrated about it, it has that Swedish metal to it. It's like
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
very almost has
totally.
like a Slaughter of
love
the
that
Soul, Terminal Spirit Disease at the Gates kind of tinge to it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
That really, but it's not quite that, but it really has that vibe to it, which I was very surprised when someone showed it to me back. Like I was obsessed with Slaughter of the Soul, and they showed me that album, and I was like, this is very At the Gatesy. This is very
At times, I see what you mean.
like older At the Gates, like not Slaughter of the Soul, but like Terminal Spirit Disease kind of like sounding At the Gates. Like really had that
the older
that
stuff.
same totally had that like took you on a journey through the melodic nature
They're
of it.
both Swedish, so and from about the same time, so it makes sense.
Totally.
You know, I wanted to touch too a little bit on you know, I mean, my influence getting like the old school shit. Like I always wanted to, you know, I was really into the American death metal bands. I mean, when I got into death metal, like I said, about 1990, 91 was really when I started to get into it. I was really into the Morbid Angel and Deicide and that type of death metal. And you know, it took me a little while before I started to get into bands like Carcass and you know, Entombed and, you know, Carnage and stuff like that, because there was something different about it. It wasn't like they weren't as fast. They weren't as like blast beats, and it wasn't like they came at you with something different, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, Carcass, yes, they did have the blast beats, and they were more grindy, kind of gross shit.
But
their old style.
Heartwork.
But then then they moved on to a more melodic style, which some people don't like, but I fucking love Heartwork. I love Heartwork.
One of my favorite albums.
So, you know, in those days in the 90s, you know, it took me a little bit, you know, I was really like only looking to the Florida bands like Malevolent Creation and Monstrosity. And I love that shit. That was my shit. I wasn't so much into the European style, you know, back then. I wasn't really into, you know, all that stuff. It took me a little while before I opened my eyes to the other types of death metal and learning that it wasn't just all about speed and blast beats and shit like that. But you know, I think today, you know, there's some new bands that are coming out though, these young bands that aren't just about that, and I'm starting to see some of these bands go back to a raw death metal thing. And I'm trying to think.
That actually
like Blood Incantation.
Oh yeah, they're awesome.
Blood Incantation, and there's a couple other of these bands out there that
I was gonna say, like, what's one of the newer bands that like totally trips you out? They're like, damn, this is where I kind of started. They're kind of doing something I was, you know, kind of doing when I was my younger age. Like, what band is like really blowing your mind right now? Like a new band.
I mean, I feel bad to say this, but nothing's necessarily blowing my mind, and I hate to say that. For the death metal world, I'm saying in the death metal world, I just really, and I'm not trying to say that in a way that's like, you know, negative to what's going on. I mentioned Surruption. I really like them, but you know, I mean, is there music that's coming out now that I'm just like, this is the death metal band for me. This is the newest thing. Like I said, you know, Cattle Decapitation, but they're older. They've been around for a while, but their new stuff is fresh to me. It still sounds.
They've definitely freshened up their style.
They're very much, and they're paving the way. But man, I mean, there's the band that's from Canada that's the super neoclassical shred stuff.
First Fragment.
They're fucking sick.
Yeah.
I listened to that album.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, I listened to that album. I got that from one of them. Somebody gave it to me at some point while I was on tour, and I didn't really realize what it was. And then I put it into my player, and then I started realizing people were talking about them, and I'm like, fuck, this band's really good. I think they're pretty amazing.
That's the one that Troy did their first EP or something, right? Troy Fullerton drummed on their first EP. Is that
correct?
Really? I don't know. Yeah, that's cool.
Right.
Might have.
I think that's true. Sorry, I don't know, Troy.
That could be, but
we'll talk about it next week, Troy.
Yeah, they're a great band though. First Fragment was impressive to me for sure.
Yeah. Totally.
Oh, okay, wait. I gotta also say the Kennedy Vale too. My
Yeah.
Gotta say the Kennedy
Dude,
Vale because
Sacramento is like I lived there for 4 years, and you got Ultra Beast, you got Kennedy Vale,
Yeah.
you got like Flub, you got cool
I know.
bands coming out of that scene, like really cool bands.
Odious
Like bands that
Construct.
are actually Odious Construct, which actually I had in my memories in Facebook, but I think it might have been today or yesterday, where I went up to the guitar player of Odious Construct after I watched them. I was like, oh yeah, what's your name? He's all, my name's like blah 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 from Odious. I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm Joel from Odious.
Did they have someone in their band named Joel?
No, they had someone from their band named Casey.
Oh, that's
Yeah, Casey Brand.
Drummer.
And,
That's
and
right, the drummer.
That's part of they're a deep, like entrenched Sacramento. Like Sacramento is really coming up with cool stuff. Like I'd go to their shows, like random shows. It's like, oh, whatever, it's a show to go to. I'm bored, and I'd be like, damn, you guys are fucking good. And like there'd be a lot of like Sacramento is probably one of the top up and coming death metal, like for new
I totally
kids.
agree.
Yeah, for bands coming up and stuff.
Agree.
Like the Sacramento scene, I was showing up to shows. It's like I was becoming like normalized to it. Just going there, like, oh yeah, they shred, cool, tight. Well, can I get a? I was slowly like just like desensitizing myself to how good the bands were there. I was like,
Symbolic is another sick band out of there.
Symbolic was amazing. They were really good. They were really
There's
good.
a lot of talent up there. I remember when I was going up to start jamming with Gabe, and I said that to him. I said what you're saying.
Oh, Gabe knows all those bands. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And I told him, I was like, you know, there's a lot of talent here. There's a lot of fucking, potential up and coming great death metal bands here, or heavier bands, and you guys have a good scene here. And
can I interject real quick just to say that from what I know about the Sacramento scene is just from what Joel has told me, and I've checked out those bands and all of them are dope, but also I kind of think that having a central hub like the Boardwalk, it's kind of like the Pound, which was another sanctuary of inspiration for us.
It wasn't even the Boardwalk. There was like 3 or 4 venues out there that really
on the Y. We played at
on the Y. There's a bunch of cool venues out there that really promoted metal bands.
We played a couple of those little places.
Yeah, so I think having venues like that, having venues like that accept the underground, scene and give the exposure to the bands just like the Pound did. I mean, you'd go to the Pound.
And the part that really sucks is that COVID has taken a lot of those venues out. They're like pretty much most of them gone, man. I mean, the Pound. I mean, sorry, the
Pound RIP before COVID.
Though. The Boardwalk is still there, but like there's a lot of these like the Blue Lamp on the Y, all these like little spots out there that actually like had shows. I was like, oh, death metal show, whatever, Saturday night, I'll go, and it'd be fucking packed, man. It'd be a lot of people there.
I saw Ulcerate in Sacramento, and also, what's that fucking UK? Okay, Matt, go because I'll think of it.
I was just gonna say California. I know this is the Cali Death podcast. We're stoked here, man. I mean, for years there's been scenes here from different areas. There was a scene in San Diego for a while. There's a scene in LA. There's a scene in the Bay Area.
It's moving.
It just moves around. But one way or another, there's fucking some good metal here in California. And say what you want about California, we got some fucking brutal motherfuckers playing some fucking good shit for sure.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's why we're doing this.
But listen, you guys, I got probably 5 more minutes that I can do.
Dude, it's all good. Yeah, I actually didn't even know when we started, really, so I don't know how long we've been going.
It's been fun.
Bill.
Hell yeah,
dude. There's a question for you, dude. Someone wants to know, many years ago, it was snowing in Montreal, freezing out, and yet you were still wearing shorts. Did you forget to bring pants on tour?
Oh, this is obviously a question for me.
Yep.
It's directed at you, yeah.
Yeah, I don't wear pants. I can wear shorts.
None of us wear pants.
I buy pants and cut the legs off.
Yeah, dude, it is kind of funny how when you go out, you leave California, and then I grew up in a beach town my whole life, you know, so shorts and sandals is my deal, you know.
Oh, the sandals, dude.
And I would get so much shit on tour for fucking wearing sandals, dude. And I'd be like, are you here to look at my
fucking
feet?
metal. It's metal, Anthony.
Are you here to fucking look at my feet? Oh yeah, dude, I should be wearing shorts with what? Fucking
I'm just worried for your toes, man.
That's the thing. We're all from the
it.
beach here, man. We all just fucking wear our shorts, you know. I mean, we're comfortable. I like comfort.
Totally.
Yeah.
There was a time I remember, not to like take everything over, but I remember we were California. We were in Prince George. It was like negative something, and me and Matt roll out of the van, and we're wearing shorts.
Slipping and sliding on the ice and shit.
Yeah, literally falling out of the fucking van, like slipping on ice. And we're about two hours from Alaska. We're like up there, like right in Prince George, like super northern Canada. And everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" It's like, "Dude, whatever, dude. We got hair on our legs. We're not bitches, dude. We fucking wear shorts."
That was right on the Vader tour. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Another question, like multiple people wanted to know, but I know you don't smoke anymore, Bill. But like, you sold shirts with weed leaves on them for so long, you're just going to be associated with weed forever. And they want to know what your favorite strain is. I don't know if that's something that matters to you, but it's a fan question.
I don't know. I think that whole thing's stupid. They created too much. They created stupid weed nowadays. That's why I don't smoke it no more. It all fucking sucks. It's like, I don't know. I mean,
he likes the weed that gets you high.
I don't even know what strains are at this point.
What is not stupid weed to you?
Just homegrown.
Yeah, if you had to pick a not stupid weed.
Man. Back when
take yourself back to the time when you fucking
smoking it. The Super Silver Haze was a good one.
Nice.
Super Silver Haze.
The Afgoo was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And then what my buddy Eric, who died, he created the legit, the real, the M10. That hands down, that was the best, and he's gone. That strain doesn't exist anymore.
No shit.
And you can throw it through a window and it would shatter the fucking window. It was a fucking sticky motherfucking heavy rock.
Yeah.
And you roll a joint and the whole thing tastes like hash. It was
fuck yeah.
That's something just to remember too.
The hash plant though. That's right.
I remember that. So just so people know too, like, you know, even though Bill doesn't smoke weed anymore, I do. Okay. So don't be put off by him not smoking weed. If you want to bring weed to a show and smoke, I smoke. So you can smoke weed.
I have met people in truck stops because Matt needed to smoke some pot. And he's like posting like things like, "I need to smoke pot. What's up?" And like a guy would show up and just like bring like a bunch of pot and like, man,
that's true.
Oh my god.
That's true. I still would do that these days. Yeah, I mean, if I'm on the road and like, you know, I'm driving for fucking 12 hours, I need to pull over and fucking get a little break in and smoke for a minute, you know, and just get a hold of myself. So I'll put my feelers out online to whoever's around that might have some weed, and I'll drive and meet you so we can smoke together. I'll give you a shirt if you can smoke me out.
Fuck yeah.
You heard it here, dude.
That's the man I know. That's the man.
I'm not much of an alcohol drinker though.
Cali Death podcast promotion.
Cali sober.
Yeah, well, what's the promotion? Hey, Matt, what's your promotional code?
Promo code.
There is no.
It's called physical weed.
Just come on in with your weed. Bring me all your weed.
All right.
Nice.
Should we wrap it up? I got one more question for Matt from me, which is if I'm ever in town, would you be down to jam some Decrepit material? I play drums.
Yeah, man. Yeah, if we had a place to jam for sure, because my house right now is small, but if we had a place to jam, maybe over at Joel's house.
Yeah.
I'll bring it.
Raise the roof.
We'll go hang out with Joel and Trevor.
Yeah,
man.
I'm incoming. I'm expected summer 2021 to be in town moving. So.
All right. So you're playing with Diego, right?
Right now I'm with To Violently Vomit with Diego.
Right.
Yeah.
He's also a professor at UCSC.
Yep.
Lecturer.
Oh, it's great.
Wow. I love UCSC. My dad went there too, so he was an alumni. I used to go up there. I was a little kid all the time. So
Bill loves banana slugs, dude. Bill loves banana slugs.
Yeah, Bill loves UCSC.
I'm
No,
gonna
I'm not
start,
saying
yeah.
the people. I'm just saying the view. I love the area and it's
Yeah.
beautiful up there. But anyway, man, it's been really great hanging out with you guys. I really appreciate it.
Hell yeah, dude. This was awesome.
yeah, man.
We love you guys. Thank you so much for coming
we'll-
on.
Love you
we
guys.
end the recording. Let's not
Always.
just say goodbye right at the recording. Let's say goodbye a couple minutes after that.
Yeah,
but
dude.
yeah, dude, this is super cool. Episode 2, fucking in the books. Like another great one, dude. Like this thing's moving pretty fast. It's pretty cool. Like to see it happen in action. We got Severed coming next week. We got Mike Gilbert and Troy Fullerton coming to do the Severed
cool.
story. You know, we're really trying to get through to the core. Disgorge maybe very soon. You know, I got some other guys that are already ready to do it. I just need to book them and stuff, and we'll be talking about it soon.
If I can make a suggestion, I hope you
Go
guys
for
do
it.
get cattle decapitation on at some
Yeah,
point
dude.
because
Yeah,
they're
we'll get 'em.
California.
Yeah.
We'll get
Totally,
'em.
dude. They're definitely on the list. We haven't, reached out to them yet, but yeah, dude, we're trying to go through. I mean, it's not going to be like only California. We're eventually,
Gotcha.
because I mean, we've all, we've made relationships with other people from other states too. Like, I'd love to have Paul from Origin on here because he lived in the Bay Area for so many years and actually experienced the scene, even though he's from Kansas. Origin's from Kansas. Like he lived over here. He'd go to shows all the time. I mean, dude, before COVID, he was still working at fucking
Guitar Center.
was it DNA Lounge?
Oh.
He was doing DNA Lounge and where else? Oh yeah, and Guitar Center.
Guitar
So
Center.
let's bring Freight Train on, dude.
Oh yeah, that'd be sick.
Who's that?
Freight
James
Train,
Lee,
dude.
man.
Come on.
James Lee, dude.
James
Come
Lee.
on.
Oh fuck yeah!
I
dude,
talk
sorry.
to him all
love
the
that
time.
motherfucker.
I know, I talk to him all the time.
Totally.
He's the man.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
So,
well,
yeah,
much success for
ideas.
you guys, though.
Thanks,
I hope
dude.
it.
And we said it to Deeds, dude. You guys are helping us kick this thing off, right, dude? It's episode 2, and yeah, we're gonna be doing it, trying to do it every week. And thanks very much for coming, dude. We missed you guys I've missed you guys for a long time, and it's super cool to get us all together and talk for almost 3 hours, probably. I don't know. It seems like
It's been a while. It's
yeah,
fun.
but it actually doesn't seem like it's been a while.
Rufus says
Yeah,
hi,
yeah.
guys.
Oh, cool, dude.
Oh, that's cute dog.
Wants to kinda jump
Rufus,
on.
what's up, dude?
Rufus,
see.
bro.
He
Here, I
reminds
got-
me of, he's kind of like Boy, you know.
Oh yeah.
Here's
Oh, yeah.
here's my little guy.
Oh, singing.
His name's Gizmo.
Gizmo.
Rufus.
He's my little guy.
Gizmo.
This is singing. You
I
got
think
singing.
Oh,
Singing.
I'd show you my little guy, but I'd probably get in trouble. There it is.
Oh no.
all right, you guys. Fuck yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Cheers, buddy.
Awesome.
Fuck yeah, dude. We'll
Nice.
rock on, and
yeah.
we'll see everybody next week.
All right.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
I
dude.
see you're gonna.
Rock on.
Right on. Peace out, guys. Yep.
Thanks, you guys.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Okay.